Hey, it's me again, Speedy. Just a little heads up. Between the recording of episode 4 and episode 5, we recorded one other episode that will, in its current form, never likely see the light of day. It was about anime cannibalism. We will likely revisit the topic in a later episode, but this will mean that some things we reference in this episode regarding the previous episode don't really make sense because that episode doesn't exist. With that out of the way, though, here is your episode. Have fun!
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Salty Triangle podcast. Today, we've got I'm excited for this topic, so I kind of want to get into it. We got Sheila and Speedy as we always do. So yeah, let's get into those shows we've been watching.
Yes. Have you been watching anything, Sheila? Because you've been pretty busy with moving back and forth between Europe.
I just went back to France on Saturday. Not that big of a deal. I've actually watched quite a bit. But I need to look it up. I don't remember by heart all the things that I've watched because there was a lot.
Must have been so good.
No, I know like a few of the ones I watched. I just don't remember exactly, what I have watched since the last time we talked. That's what I'm looking up.
I do remember you coming to me for about a few anime in the last weeks, 2 weeks. So true. You had a lot of opinions to share.
Got the list here. Yeah, so I watched another Chinese anime, this one called Heaven's Official Blessing, or Qianguan Qifu. I hope I'm pronouncing this correct. I'm very new to Mandarin, so, to anybody out there speaking Chinese or knowing anything about, Mandarin or Wu or Cantonese, I'm very sorry for my Bosch pronunciations. I'm quite new to this. I will get the hang of it sooner or later, I hope. Yeah, it was nice. I finally understand what the yaoi bait is all about. Let's put it that way.
Yaoi bait.
Yes. What is kind of gay, but, not really officially gay.
Yeah.
I never quite... I've said this before, but, it's hard to sell me on gay couples, just because they don't tickle my fancy exactly. Hence, I never quite fallen for, the girls almost kissing shows or, the boys almost kissing shows that are, boy love or girl love, but not actually there and really, only there to pander a specific group without ever, going explicit. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, they kind of make it obvious, it's like, kind of on you for falling for that. And then I watched Heaven's Official Blessing, and everybody, I'm so sorry I ever said that. I get it now.
What has this show managed to do that all the others didn't? What got you baited?
They used the trope that I absolutely love.
Of course.
They used one of my favorite tropes, which is it's the trope of one character completely and utterly devoting everything about themselves to another character.
Kind of unhealthy, to be honest.
Yes, it is. It's in real life, it's absolutely toxic, but in animation or in storytelling, I just adore it.
It's like that one movie where the guy writes a whole notebook about this girl that that dies. The Fault in the Stars or whatever. Is that?
Oh, The Fault. No, not kind of like that, but not quite like that. The Fault in Our Stars, which is, it has other tropes. It's not so much one character completely devoting themselves to another. It's really one character being like, she's going to die, so I'm going to do everything I can for her. But this is, that trope mostly comes from, not just trying to give someone that you love, the best last days of their lives, which is also really heartwarming, and I absolutely love it. But, for, eternity or for the, unforeseeable future that has even more of a punch in the gut to me.
Kind of creepy, to be honest. Both of them.
Yeah, but, again, in real life, it's absolutely toxic. Please don't do it. But, again, in storytelling, I love it. I adore it.
What else? Or do you want to say more about this Chinese anime?
It's good. Watch it. It has some really awesome fight scenes and choreography. Also, sassy dialogue. Just not in the in the mean sassy kind of way, like I do half the time, but in the how do I put this?
Friendly, sassy.
Yeah, in the friendly sassy, just like kind of in the obvious sassy. Like in the very first episode, this guy comes back to heaven, despite the fact that he's been, kicked out there several times just for causing a ruckus. But, he's a generally good guy, so he gets back into heaven. And, he's like, he sees the reactions to him coming back to heaven. He's like, oh, everybody here loves me so much. And, the person greeting him is like, yes, they absolutely do. By the way, you destroyed this palace there. That's the reason why it's not there anymore. Oh, yeah, I did that. I'm very certain they're going to forgive me for that immediately. Kind of like that.
Yeah,
that kind of sass, that kind of sarcasm.
I think it's funnier when you actually watch it, because...
Yeah. No, just to give examples, because things like that you don't see in anime very much. And I did not know how much I missed that until I watched it again. And now I almost want to stop watching anime and, watch more Western media because dialogues like these are dime a dozen.
Is that true? Is there no sass in anime at all?
There is sass, but there's not a lot of sarcasm. Apparently, from what I understand, from what I've heard people saying, friends of mine who went to Japan and, YouTubers that I follow who are in Japan, sarcasm is not much of a thing over there. Like, it just flies over most people's heads.
Is there a reason?
I don't know. Cultural differences?
Well,
what else did I watch? Oh yeah, I watched the second season of Rakugo, which was just, the ending, the acting. Okay, I've realized something while editing our episodes, which is, when most people talk about acting, they think about the voice acting, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
When I talk about acting, I talk about the acting of the animators, not the voice acting. Those are two different things to me.
I figured, like, there's a way of drawing a character just like so, that the way they move brings across the emotion correctly, that kind of stuff, I guess.
Yeah, basically what you should be doing, I don't know if that's a common thing to do in the anime industry, but in the Western industry it's definitely a thing. What an animator should be doing is they should be filming themselves, acting out the character. And that counts as a base of reference for animating that. Hence why, the way that the character moves on screen, we don't actually call animating. Animating is, it's part of animating, but animating includes a whole more than that. The way that the characters move on screen, we refer to as acting. Whereas voice acting is, that's voice acting, that's self-explanatory. So one thing about Rakugo is, outside of the actual performances, the acting was always a bit weird. And that hasn't stopped. But, aside from that, it's just, atmosphere is great, storytelling is great, characters are great. Oh my god, the characters, I love them so much. They are so wonderfully written. It's good. It's really, really, really good, guys. Please watch Rakugo.
I've seen the first episode, or I think the first episode was like 40 minutes long.
Yes.
It was really, I've watched that, and it got recommended to me by everyone who watched it. Like, it's a hidden gem. People should be watching this more.
It absolutely is. The first episode, I can see why it would turn people off, because it's a bit, you need a long breath. Let's put it that way to get through it. But I've always loved those kind of, slow burns, so.
It was good. Yeah, that's what it was. I don't think I was looking for a slow burn when I watched the first episode. I was like, this is really good. I know this is good. But I just don't feel like watching this kind of anime at this very moment, and since then.
Yeah, but the first episode is by far the slowest. So after that, it really picks up.
Yeah, and I'm also not really. I wouldn't say I'm not a fan of drama. I am scared of drama. Is more how.
Oh yeah, that's the reason why it took you forever to watch Fruits Basket, wasn't it?
That and what's it called? Your Lie in April. Also because of that. I find it.
But you
very
love them
difficult.
both now, so watch it.
I know. I find it very emotionally draining to watch people go through a terrible thing. When the kid from in Your Lie in April, what was his name? Does anyone know his name?
Shit, it's been a while.
The pianist. When he's doing his piano things and he's not doing them correctly, he feels like he's underwater and he can't play well, or he can't hear the music as he's saying, or he can't hear the tones, that lasts for so long, and every single
Kosei!
performance he does
Arima
in the
Kosei.
first half of the show is exactly like that. Kosei, yes. Every single performance is like that. Only the one where he does the one with the girl, first one where they like screw up on on stage, and then continue.
And the
anyway.
one where he plays
like-
with the young girl, that one too. I mean, he doesn't hear us playing anymore, but he's like, he's basically, that's when he starts making that his weapon.
Yeah, exactly. But when he's struggling so much, it feels so draining to watch that, because that kind of, I don't like watching people suffer, and that also goes for anime characters, and especially when it's like when they are suffering in their head, or when there's drama between friends. Like, I stopped watching Hunter x Hunter at the moment where in between the Chimera end arc, which is said to be the best arc of all of them. I stopped watching because Killua and Gon were gonna go separate ways because of some promise they made, and at that, it ended the episode on like some kind of cliffhanger. I was like, no, I'm done. I'm out. This is. I refuse. I refuse to be emotionally impacted by this. I refuse. This is not how you treat me, the viewer. Even though
That is sad.
It's perfectly fine and good for a show to do that. It's just something
It's important too.
dislike. It's important because you can't have, unless you intentionally don't want your show to have drama and it's comedy or whatever. I mean, every show has some kind of a drama, to be honest. But you need to have your characters go through trouble to, or have them have to reach a goal, or have to overcome something to make something interesting. So not having any drama whatsoever makes making a story a lot more difficult. So I understand why. It's just I'm
A little bitch.
Yeah.
Next up.
I mean, I love it because it's people being people. It's humans. I love it. I also, you know me. I love watching people be miserable.
Wow.
Yeah.
The statistic tendencies.
But to be fair, I also very much love, watching people just having a good time. There's that too.
She's a sadist, but she can be different as well. It's the way she chooses to be.
I'm that person who wakes up every day and chooses violence.
That, yes. What else? What else did you watch? You had a lot of time.
Yeah, so 2 weeks, like always. I watched Makia, the movie When the Promised Flower Blooms. I don't know what I expected, but it wasn't that.
Oh, everyone says that movie's terrible.
What? How dare they?
Yeah, people hate that movie.
Did you watch it, Pory?
Nope, never seen it. Actually, I know there's a core video where he says it's like the best movie ever, and then like everyone else hates the movie.
Who's he?
He's a.
It has
he's
a very high rating
analysis
though
blog.
on Anime Planet.
Oh well, maybe I just talked to the wrong people.
I think Arcada also was like, this is one of the best movies I've ever seen. Or was it Digibro? I don't know.
I don't doubt it was.
Oh,
doubt it was
Digini.
I think they go by Digi now. I think they just go by Digi now.
Oh,
But
Digi.
whatever. Yeah, I don't. I'm pretty sure Digi doesn't like it.
That wouldn't surprise
I
me.
liked it. Like it's different, It's first of all, it's a story between mother and son. You don't see that a lot, Anime focusing on the mom,
Yeah,
or
usually
any
the
story
moms
focusing
die.
on the mom.
Yeah, the moms die.
Well, no, that's not true. The moms die in Western media. They're very much
Or
alive
shonen.
and just kind of like not there in their children's lives much. Just kind of like being a passive character in the background in anime.
I mean,
No,
there's a specific trope of
Yeah.
that moms have a braid going in front of them. That those moms always die, like in Anohana or in Fullmetal Brotherhood.
Yeah, but that's
Fullmetal
not
Alchemist
nearly as often. That's just that's a dead mom. I know about that. But
Yeah.
overall in anime, there are a lot more alive moms than there are in Western media.
I Yeah,
I mean,
think
I
Bleach
can
also-
count on one hand how many moms are actually alive in Disney movies, versus how many moms are alive in shonen anime, for example.
Fair. That. I guess, yeah.
I think there's a sampling bias there, to be honest. I think it's pretty similar. Yeah, I think if you took if you went on IMDb, and then you went on Anime Planet or something, and you went down if you took 100 romances and 100 war movies, etc. I think that'd be pretty similar.
That is some very interesting and very useful statistical research that someone else
Yeah,
probably has
that
to do that we're not
Yeah,
gonna do.
I'm not gonna do it, but it's probably correct.
Someone else do it and show it to us.
I mean, it wouldn't
Yeah,
take that
I'm not
long,
gonna
but
do it.
they'll
I
anyway.
have too much homework to do.
No
But
one's
yeah,
gonna
one
do
of
I
my
would-
problems with Makia is don't get me wrong, it was an amazing movie, but it's actually one of the very few movies that I have ever watched where I'm like, this should have been a series. Because, there were so many characters and so many themes in there that it could have easily, been an epic on the scope of Game of Thrones. Either that, or it should have cut a lot of the side conflicts and a lot of the themes, and had more focus on just the mom and the son. So either way, it was great. Don't get me wrong, but for everything that it touched upon, a movie just was not enough time. But for the main theme that it touched upon, the movie time was perfect. So either tighten it up and cut half of it away, or really expand it and make it this huge worldwide or continent-wide conflict, again, Game of Thrones style, with the mom and her son being in the foreground, being the main theme and the main two characters.
There haven't been any, I don't know, Ghibli movies that you think maybe would have been better as
No.
a series? Not at
No,
all.
No.
Ghibli is pretty good at that, to be honest.
Yeah.
They're very good at keeping it.
Concise.
Ghibli and pacing is, well, Chronicles of Earthsea, but that one was made by Miyazaki. It was
His
made by
son.
his son.
Mm.
But anything made by
Oh.
Miyazaki, nope. Works perfectly. There are very, very few movies, or even very few short movies, where I'm like, yeah, this should be longer. They're very, very few and far between, and Makia is one of them.
I feel like I'm the exact opposite. I usually feel like a movie would usually work better as a series. 'Cause but I historically
Yeah, I disagree.
I historically do not understand or get movies in the first place. So take that with a huge grain of salt. See what I did there? Salt.
Yeah.
Salty.
Yeah.
Oh,
Please
that's funny.
go. Please show yourself at the door now.
If you didn't tell me it was a joke, I wouldn't have thought it was a joke, but
It
was
wasn't.
funny.
It wasn't actually. I just noticed it. I noticed it after I said it.
Like I said, please show yourself at the door.
What else did you watch?
Then there was a tweet that I did a few days ago saying that Watanabe was slowly becoming one of my favorite directors.
Right.
The reason for that being because, I really love Cowboy Bebop, as we have discussed in previous episodes.
Okay, wait, can I guess what show you watched?
Huh?
Can I try and guess what show you watched?
Yeah, go right ahead.
All right, so I don't think it was Carol on Tuesday. I don't think that would change your mind.
I already watched that one,
Oh, okay.
when it came out,
Okay.
shortly after
So
it came out.
he also did Space Dandy. What else?
I haven't watched that one yet, no.
He did Devil May Cry, baby? No.
Okay.
No,
Yeah,
that was
wait,
not
no,
Watanabe, that was
yeah,
Yuasa.
Yeah. Sorry.
Oh god, I can't think of what else he done. Okay, I give up. All right, that was a terrible game.
Well
That did not take
done.
very long.
What else
Well,
did
if I could-
I
Watanabe
really
do?
love Carol on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Okay, wait.
okay,
I'm
so
actually
I
looking
really
at the
love...
shows now. Okay,
Oh, goodness gracious.
okay.
You can, but you cheated. Did whatever you say.
Oh,
now
you
doesn't-
watch Kids on the Slope.
I watched Kids on the
Oh,
Slope.
I'm so smart.
You knew that without looking it up.
No, I
No,
mean, if I knew
she
that he had
should've-
done Kids on the Slope, I would have got it.
I could just cut
Of
it out, and you
course.
should just now.
Yeah, that's good.
Just act like you just found it.
Yeah. First try.
Cheaters, all of you. Yeah, no, I really love Kids on the Slope. There's a certain type of jazz that I have been looking for years, right? Like, literal years, 9, 8, 10 years maybe. and never quite found it. And that show has like that exact type of jazz. You know, the not so much the the chill go for a smoke kind of a jazz, but more of the dancey, upbeat, almost funky type of jazz,
like the
right?
opening to Baccano, for example.
Like the opening to Baccano, for example. Although that's more of a that's more big band than jazz actually, so that doesn't count. Big band is like it's entirely
the
different
same
genre.
idea.
But in that same in that same like dancey, upbeat vibe. Kids on the Slope has that jazz. Now, the reason why Watanabe is becoming one of my favorite directors is because, like, he really knows his music. Like, damn, the guy really knows his music, right? From Cowboy Bebop, having, like, one of the best soundtracks ever, period.
God, I love it.
To, everything that Carol and Tuesday does with, like, throwing out song after song after song in various genres. To, now, Shinichiro Watanabe, just flexing his jazz knowledge in Kids on the Slope, while, having this really cute, really messy drama about, teenagers being teenagers and trying to find their place in the world.
Kids on the Slope is...
With the help of jazz.
Kids on the Slope is a 2010s show, right? Early 2010s?
I think it's 2012. 2012.
I remember the Potaku. Potaku discussed that way in the first few episodes, and I think Holden was kind of made it a running joke. Pretty sure he didn't like it. Is there like?
I mean, like I said, it's a bit messy because the characters are kind of messy, But I see why people wouldn't like it, because we know the show does something that not a lot of shows have the balls to do for very genuine reasons, and that is to if you have characters in there that like I said, that are messy, that don't know what to do with themselves, if you have characters like what's the name of the main character from March Comes in Like a Lion?
Ray.
Yeah,
Right.
like him, just kind of being a little bit all over the place, not knowing what to do with themselves, and showcasing that by making the show, the pacing of the show, the cinematography of the show, the visual language, by making the visual language equally as messy as your characters, it's just going to turn a lot of people off. Watanabe did that, and I'm guessing, I'm not entirely certain, but Watanabe has proven himself to be a very competent director several times before that. I'm guessing he did that on purpose. So, that also means, though, that people who cannot appreciate these kind of things, just like how, some people cannot appreciate Cowboy Bebop for, being what it is, would not really enjoy that much. It's not a show for everybody to enjoy. It is odd, though, that Holden would not enjoy it, because Holden is like, wasn't he the music guy in Potaku?
I think he was studying film, so he should have known his film shit, but either I'm misremembering.
He should. I am disappointed in you, Holden.
I'm pretty.
Then again, I never liked Holden to begin with, so there's that too. But I could have sworn he was the music. I could have sworn he did something with music, though.
I mean, I listened to a few episodes, and for sure he did something with. He wanted to get into film. He wanted to become a film director. I think that was way back in 2012 when Potaku just started. So, podcast discussing another podcast. What have we become?
That's a big money idea. That's a big money idea, though. You should write it down. A podcast about podcasts. That's good stuff.
And then they make a podcast about podcasts about podcast.
Yeah, infinite content. Yeah.
Infinite content. I actually I've seen a similar sketch like that, but different. What else? What else is on the list? What else have you watched? Was that everything?
Keep them coming.
No, that was not everything. What else have I watched? I've watched Nise Monogatari and Neko Monogatari.
All right.
I love Neko Monogatari. That's a fucking good one. That's good.
I do not. It was boring as shit.
No, you're just.
I literally zoned out for half of it.
That's just so wrong. That's just actually incorrect. That's just.
No,
yeah.
it was.
I haven't seen it in a long time. I haven't seen it in about 3 years. But that's just incorrect.
You were the one who were like, taste there are no incorrect opinions. Fuck
Yeah,
you.
I mean, we had that discussion. I've changed my mind. No, I'm joking. But that being said, Nekomonogatari, it's the
It's boring.
it's
It
the
was boring.
is
It
the
was
third-
legitimately boring.
It's the fourth best season, and it's 3 episodes or 4 episodes or something. So
4.
yeah, 4. See,
Well,
Yeah,
how
no,
did you
it
get
was
bored?
it
It's an
was
hour.
it was very boring.
why
No,
is it
it's
so
not.
boring?
Huh?
Why is it? Why
Yeah,
is
what's
it so
boring about it?
boring?
Uh,
What did not? I mean, this is a weird question. What did not grab your attention that other anime should do? Like, how does an anime keep you from being boring? And where did Nico Monogatari and I think Nisa Monogatari as well, since we talked about it.
So
for
I-
Nisa
I- I-
Monogatari was a bit better. I'm
okay,
gonna start with Nisa Monogatari because Nisa Monogatari was a bit better. It was a step up from Neko Monogatari because the dialogue was better. You know, like the characters had been established. You know, like we all knew what their skits were now. We all knew what their deal was now, and so they had more liberty to play with that and with the conventions that they had set up. And I was actually somewhat enjoying it. I was starting to get the grasp of what does the environment look like? That actually really threw me off in the first season. The fact that the environments were so disconnected and we hadn't seen enough of it for me to have an idea of, like where is what located. I was always kind of
I agree with
like
that.
lost in orientation.
You-
But Nisa Monogatari showed us more and more, and so I started getting the hang of where's what. I also kind of enjoyed the sisters. I like the fact that they're both you both need to be careful of them or they will cut you.
Of course, you like
Um,
that trope.
Yeah. The first episode actually really turned me off because Senju Gahara I don't like her.
Oh wow,
I don't know what it
that's
is about her.
controversial. That's controversial.
I am honestly
That's
not sure what it is about her, but I do not. I think
I
it's
mean,
the fact that.
She's a self-proclaimed tsundere, so maybe that's
But she's
why.
not really a tsundere.
No,
Yeah,
she's
not
not.
Thunder at all. That's the
She's
joke.
not.
That's the joke.
Yeah. Um. I guess one of the big things I think it's not even Senju Gahara's fault herself as a character. I think it's the way that the show frames her because, no matter what it is, no matter what state of mind she's in, whether she's happy, whether she's sad, whether she's joking, whether she's being serious, the cinematography around her and the way that she is framed, the way that she is shown, the way the visual language portrays her is always the same. So it's kind of hard to get a grasp on, who she actually is as a person, and as a result, I just kind of lose interest. As a result, to me, she just comes off as, as having 8th grader syndrome, basically.
Do you like?
Wait,
Senju
8th grader
Gahara?
syndrome is when you're
Oh.
is when you're the chick with the eye patch, right?
Yeah, when you're like,
Chiribyo.
when you're like, I am important. I'm not like everybody else.
Mhm.
Oh,
That's 8th grader syndrome. And says I know she's not that way, like auditorial language tells you she's not that way, but the visual language makes it come off like that's what she's like. And I don't have patience for that, so I don't like Senju Gahara very much. For that reason.
Do you like the character Senju Gahara, Pory?
not my favorite. I wouldn't. Yeah, I haven't seen it in a long time, so.
Hmm.
Though I have. It does.
But
okay,
Tori,
I can't-
just like
wait,
you,
wait,
I do
wait.
take a liking to Shinobu.
Okay, Sheila. Wait. When did I ever say I like? No, I'm joking. Have you seen the scene where they're on the roof, and she's talking about her experience in the cult? That might be in the first season, or it might be in the second season. I can't remember
I think it was in the first season.
because that's like.
It was not in the second season.
No, second season is like it's called that. Like the second
Oh,
season.
okay, you mean Monogatari
second-
second season?
Yeah, it's actually the fourth season, which is
Okay, so it's not in Nise Monogatari. I do not remember. I don't think it was in Bakemonogatari
definitely not.
either.
Okay, that scene is very, very, very good. Tell me if you like her after that scene, because that scene is fucking.
Will do.
incredible.
So I was actually warming up to Nise Monogatari until we got to that episode.
The teeth.
You all know which episode I'm talking about. I don't even have to specify which episode I'm talking about.
Pory, as a expert on this series, what do you make of the toothbrush scene?
It's good. Like you can't fucking
Fuck
deny
you.
it. It's actually good.
No.
It's really funny.
It's the absolute biggest piece of shit I have ever
It's
seen.
so funny. It's really good.
It is so stupid.
It's
It's
really
so
hilarious.
dumb. It's so out
Yeah.
there.
Did you laugh,
It's
Shayla?
so like,
Did
why?
you laugh?
You guys like they're
Did you
both
laugh?
actually get turned on by his big brother
Exactly.
crush.
That's
little
hilarious.
brother-
That's fucking
Did
funny.
No.
Did you laugh,
Oh
Shayla?
my
No,
God,
could you imagine
so
how much
wrong.
worse? Okay,
Ah!
imagine
you-
the scene. Okay, imagine how much worse the scene would be if they weren't into it. That would be so bad.
That would
That makes
would
the
have
scene.
That's bad.
there wouldn't have
makes
been
the
any
scene.
point to the scene if they weren't
That
into
makes
it.
the scene.
Yeah,
That,
exactly.
There was never a point to the scene. That scene was literally just pandering fan
Okay.
service, weird ass
Yep.
fan
No,
material.
exactly.
there is
Literally a white bonus situation.
there are
Okay,
maybe
and-
5 people with a toothbrushing fetish
Well,
in this entire
more than-
world.
more
I'm
than
pretty
5
sure
after
that
the
after
show.
this
More
episode,
than
there are a
5
lot
after
more
the
people
show.
with a toothbrushing fetish out there.
Pory, you were saying?
No, you said there was 5 people who were into it. There's more than 5 now. Let's put it this way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Thanks to that fucking.
Hey, look,
Piece of
not many shows can say they invented a fetish. Okay, you got to give it that. You got to give it something.
Okay, Shayla, did you laugh during this scene? At
No,
all?
I literally cringed and hyped and hit beneath my covers half the time. That's what I did.
So funny.
I,
The way that
Oh,
the
it
way
was
the,
so
ca-
bad. It was
the, way
so
the
hard to
camera
watch.
just fucking goes mad,
No, okay.
like it zooms out and then zooms in and then like, it's behind him and then it's on top and then it's so funny.
Here's what I actually did. I actually took off my headphones and just paused, right? And I just collapsed onto my bed laughing, not because it was funny, but because it was
Yeah.
so sad and pathetic.
I was one of the people that watched Nisei Monogatari largely blind. So I think this was way like a few years after it came out. So like, what is it? 7 years ago is when I watched it about, and I got kind of taken aback. I was like, what the fuck is this? So I neither laughed nor cringed. I was just in total confusion of what was on my screen.
Yeah. Yep.
But if I watch it now, I'll
Imagine
probably
your
laugh.
parents walking into your room.
But don't
while
you historically hate fan service though?
I did.
Who, me or Speedy?
Speedy.
I do. Yes, I hate some fan service. I mean, I was confused. I didn't like it. I wasn't into it. I was just straight up confused. Like,
I
is
hope
this?
you like
Is this? What is this? Are people into this? Why are they showing this? I was watching a not normal, a relatively normal show, and then this comes on, and their brother and sister, which is still I still really don't like in an anime any incestuous relationships, but that's a topic for another day.
Any person with a real brother and sister will relate.
Yes. That is the real cringe part for me. It's the whole incestuous relationship that is being promoted rather than the toothbrushing itself. The toothbrushing is pretty fucking funny. It's just I feel a little uncomfortable with the whole brother sister hinting at romance thing and more.
I am still not over the fact that, they both, it doesn't matter who it is, but they both get turned on by one person brushing another person's teeth.
So funny. That is the cherry on
It's
the
so
that is-
stupid. It's so dumb. It's the dumbest fucking shit I've ever seen.
This is all
Exactly.
speculation, but do we think the author wrote this so it was funny,
Oh,
or did he wrote this?
he has been quoted in a interview that he wrote Nisei Monogatari just because he, like, for himself, he didn't plan on publishing it, but then the editor was like, "You got to publish this. This is fucking gold." And he was like, "No, this is for me." But they made him publish it anyway. So that was definitely it wasn't fan service, it was like self-service.
So he
Yeah,
does have the
that makes
fetish. He was the
I don't
first.
Honestly, mad respect. That's not a lot of people have the balls to
Imagine
do that.
writing fan fiction of your own story, and then your editor is like, "No, we're gonna publish this. Everyone's gonna see it."
Yeah,
So then I think the reason why I didn't like Neko Monogatari as much is because there are only two characters there. Shinobu's basically non-existent. She's just, somewhere in the corner. All of the girls that he meets in Bakemonogatari aren't there yet, and it's just the class president and Koyomi. And I never liked the class president that much. She was kind of boring.
That's a
I'm not
okay. Nah, you said Tsujihara sucks. I was fine. You said Hanakawa sucks. Now I've got a problem. Like that's not.
You can have a problem. That's fine. I don't. She's too much of a perfect girl trope.
Yeah, same. She's just
she gets
a
better.
little too
She gets
boring.
She gets better after Chocolate Insomnia. I don't remember where that is, but it's like
maybe.
That
But in
doesn't-
Monogatari alone, without that, she's boring. Maybe she gets better. That could be true. But until then, I can only judge her for what I've seen so far. And what I've seen so far, she's just your typical, perfect girl that everybody wants because she's so perfect.
Have you seen the movies? Have
Unicorn, the unicorn. No, Nekomonogatari is the newest one I've watched so far.
Well, technically, Kizumonogatari is supposed to be before, but
yeah, I'm watching them in order as they come out. And
yeah, I did that as
Nekomonogatari.
well. The Monogatari community will get angry at you if you stan the if you stan broadcast order. You're supposed to stan like the intended broadcast order, I guess.
Chronological order.
No. There are like 3 or 4 or 5 different watch orders.
Basically, Kizumonogatari 1 was supposed to come out way before it did, but it never it didn't. So you're supposed to have to see Kizumonogatari before you get the idea.
Well, I don't know these things because Monogatari isn't that talked about.
I'm pretty sure
outside of
I'm pretty sure there's like an image that shows the official watch order that the community thinks is the best. Maybe we can show it on screen.
Yeah, in my defense, this is literally the first I ever hear of this, so
I'm
just gonna continue
broadcast order. Okay, you can keep going. Actually, you can keep going. I'll talk about it some other time. You can keep going.
Yeah, hold on.
No, No, you keep going because this might be important for everybody who wants to get into the Monogatari franchise. So continue on.
So I stand broadcast order for a long time because it's like very confusing, and I was into that because I was trying to figure out what the fuck was going on. And if you watch Kizumonogatari, the show makes more sense, which is probably the reason people watch it that way because it makes more sense. But I was into the fact that it's like almost completely nonsense, and then like you watch Kizumonogatari and like everything falls into place, which is more satisfying. Well, it's just more satisfying that way. It's like everything that happened up until this point just makes perfect sense. But I understand that if you wanted to watch a show for it to make sense, you would want to watch that first. Like that makes sense to me. But...
I mean, for me personally, I didn't really because they touch upon it enough that I have an idea of what happens.
Yeah.
In Nekomonogatari, there's basically a small recap, so you have an idea of what actually happened chronologically. It wasn't really that confusing for me in that regard.
Like it's completely incomprehensible, but yeah.
Yeah. So that's the reason why I didn't like Nekomonogatari too much. What else did I watch? Oh yeah, one more thing, which is the Code Geass movie, Lelouch of the Resurrection.
When was it made?
The
last year, 2 years ago, maybe last year, I think.
2019.
Oh,
2019. Yeah.
It was good.
Oh, it was good. Wow, that's a controversial opinion, I think.
I mean, it was okay. Like there was nothing. It was Code Geass. Well, what is more is there to say? There were a few pacing issues, but that's typical. It's nothing near as bad as season 2 was pacing wise. You never got to the last arc. Like if you managed to get through the entire bullshit and get to the last arc, from the point where major spoilers for Code Geass. If you don't want to be spoiled, stick to whatever time frame.
The show came out 14 years ago. I think it's okay. I think we've.
Oh, dude, people got upset over spoilers for the Final Fantasy VII remake, and that came out 25 something years ago.
I don't care anymore. I don't care about being spoiled.
He
dies but doesn't die. Basically, is that how it goes?
Oh. Well, yeah. I mean,
kind of, sort of. It's yeah. Like I said, major spoilers. Thank you, Speedy. We have watchers or listeners.
Hold on. Does he chaos himself to get back to life after he dies?
No, it's not. No, it's basically he. Okay, maybe I don't remember. He sacrifices himself for the revolutionary people, and then like the end credit scene is that CC is on like a horse-drawn carriage, and then you can see like the tail of his coat, as if so you can't tell if he's if he's alive sitting in the trailer, or if it's just his coat flipping around.
That's the big reveal.
Yeah.
That is why I should have waited
that
through
is-
all of
No,
that
that's not the good
shit.
part. That's not the good
literally
part.
not
though.
it. No, that's not the the reason is that the entirety of the last arc, so like I said, major spoilers, although we're already in spoiler territory, so who cares, is from the moment where everything starting from where people find out that first of all he has Zero and second of all he has the Gias, everything from that to the very end is a masterpiece.
Okay.
All of that. That's like, how many episodes is that? Probably 3, 4, 5, something
I
along
have
those
no
lines.
idea. I have no idea.
Yeah, it's a masterpiece. And so everything, that entire last arc is magnificent. To be honest, the first time I watched it, just like you, Speedy, I was so, over all of the bullshit that came before that I couldn't really get myself to care. And then a few months later, I rewatched it in, like one of the recap movie forms, or, not recap movies, it was like, a condensed movie form. And I knew what was coming, so, I wasn't as bored or frustrated with it anymore. And that way, by the time that I got to the final arc, I was like, shit, this is actually really fucking good. And now I hold it. It took me 2 tries, but now I hold the ending of Code Geass in as high in an esteem as everybody else.
Right, but
at least the ending.
Should you watch a 50-episode show because 5 episodes are masterpiece? I don't think so.
Well, the entirety of the first season was a masterpiece, and the first.
No, I disagree. I
most
totally
of it was
disagree. The moment that Pinkhead Girl died and the thing went all back to normal, that's when it went to shit. Before that was good.
No. I love that.
No, I disagree. It was an arse
because it's so rare to see a Diablo Ex Machina.
I'm sorry.
That was amazing. That
yeah.
was
Instead
Diablo
of Deus, it's a Diablo. Yeah. No, it is just as shitty of a feeling as a Deus Ex Machina. It's terrible. Just because it almost never happens doesn't mean it's all of a sudden good. They nearly had it.
I found it good not because it was a Diablo Ex Machina.
The way that he accidentally gassed her, just the worst possible thing to do, it was so forced. It was used in such a force. Like you don't write like that. That's terrible writing. No, it's terrible writing.
No, I absolutely disagree with that, because it was, first of all, it was foreshadowed. Second of all, it was established that it absolutely could happen. Third, it was already shown that it was going to happen at the worst possible amount of time, because the Lelouch basically, just like brushes it aside and is like, oh, this could never happen to me, I'm above that, only to then be hit on the head and be given a reality check at the worst possible time. And it just, when you thought everything was over, it escalates in the worst possible time and gives, such an amazing emotional gut punch for every single character, because Yuffie is, like, the only character, aside from Nunnally, beloved by absolutely everybody. So her death hurts. There's literally no better way and no better time to use, the Gias going out of control than for Yuffie's death.
Way too forced for me. Way too forced. It, like...
Plus, I am actually honestly amazed at the camera tricks that they used, right? Because they subvert, like, they had established that, whenever, with the visual language, that whenever Lelouch uses his Gias, they would always use the same cinematography. So that's why it caught us so by surprise, because this is the very first time, after how many episodes was that in? 10, 12 episodes of having established this pattern, and therefore us having been familiar with, to then rip out the rugs from under our feet and show us how it actually works when we're, bystanders, not in, Lelouch's or whoever's or in the god's head. Of, not having this same cinematography happen. Hence why, it was so out there when it did happen, and I found that amazing. Like, it's a simple trick, but it's not used often enough. Like, the last time I really remember having seen this was in Jaws, but not with cinematography, but with the music.
Yeah, I cannot feel that same appreciation. I just felt betrayed, not by the story itself, because that's kind of the point, to feel betrayed. No, it felt betrayed by the writers. Like, you can't do this to me. You can't.
Why not?
I don't remember much of my initial anger and all the ways that I was able to voice it back then. I don't really remember. So I don't think I can make a valid argument these days. I'd have to rewatch it completely or go back to what I said about it way back.
I mean, if your excuse is, you want things to turn out well, and we're already expecting to turn out well, and then you're angry because they don't turn out well, that's not a very valid excuse.
Yeah,
here.
that's the point.
Because, like, half you watch the show, things do not turn out well
the-
in that show. That has been established up until that point.
I felt like it just felt way too forced. Like they intentionally racked up all of the "it's going to be fine, it's going to be all right" points, right, in the show. They all went in that direction just so they could try and give this kind of a moment any kind of a
Shock value?
yeah, shock value. It's just shock value. That's all it is. There is nothing else to it. It's just, oh,
well,
look how
except
bad
for
it is.
was built up.
Yeah, no, but
But it was literally built up
No, but
from the very beginning.
there
Like,
were-
you knew that something was going to go wrong. The signs were all over the place.
I mean, there was a sign that Lelouch had maybe not as much control over his power as he thought it would, but they used that in the worst possible way. It would have made so much more sense that it would have gone wrong in any other point in time, any other point, but now it goes wrong just then. How coincidental is that? It's because it's complete coincidence. And that's what I don't.
That is true. It is complete
coincidence. It's.
But, have you ever watched
the astronomical chance of it happening right then?
But there's just an astronomical chance of it happening at any other situation.
Yes, but any other situation wouldn't have this astronomical of an impact.
Oh, you don't know that?
What situation in the show would have had a bigger impact than this? It would have completely solved
let's see,
everything.
looking back-
And the worst thing is, right? Because this is, of course, because we mentioned that season 2 was a lot worse, right? The worst
bit of a
thing about
clusterfuck.
the worst thing is, right in the first 4 episodes of season 2, they do the thing that she tried to do anyway. So the death of Yuffie was, to the greater events in the story, almost irrelevant. Her death didn't matter at all.
Oh, no, that is absolutely not true. Her death is felt throughout the entire show and becomes
through
the
the
character
characters.
motivation for
Through the characters,
just about everybody.
but not through what happens to the Japan. All the way the goal that she died
The entire
for
reason
was easily achieved.
The entire reason Lelouch tries to do what he does is because of Yuffie. If she hadn't tried to do it first, he would never have even thought of it.
No,
The
but he
entire
doesn't
reason
do
why
it.
Susaku refuses.
It's Nunnally that does the same thing that Yuffie does, but she does it with ease, where Yuffie had to die for it. That's really cheap. That is a really cheap way to just solve a thing that was such a difficult thing previously. But that's season 2, of course.
Lelouch does it too. Lelouch does it too. Just, instead of doing it in Japan, he takes the people outside of Japan.
That's even.
That's the
even
only
worse.
difference.
That's even worse. That's not the
Yeah,
same
that was
thing. That's not the same
yeah.
thing. He just fucked off
It's
somewhere else.
the same basic idea.
Just fucked off somewhere else and was
Is it-
like, oh, I did it. I created Japan. Outside of Japan. It doesn't make any sense. But that's season 2. We all agree season 2 was a little all over the place. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I
We do
had
agree on
to. I
that.
had to rant about that.
But the Yuffie moment is great. I adore the Yuffie moment.
Everything after that felt useless.
Because sometimes things just happen that way.
They
Sometimes
do.
things just go wrong in the worst possible way, and there's nothing necessarily
They-
wrong with
they
that.
do.
Just like sometimes things just go right in
They
the
do.
best
It's
possible
just-
way.
I feel like for me it was cheap shock value, very cheap shock value, and anything.
I would agree if it hadn't built up to that point.
I don't remember build up to that degree. There was much more build up to it going well than build up it going wrong. Right?
Yeah, that was the point. Because nothing in Code Geass had ever gone that easy with that much build-up. Everything that had always gone right was, basically Lelouch taking over the situation and, making it good from a bad point. There was never a point in the entire show where things were building up to going right and then they went right. When I first watched this, I was watching it the entire time thinking, okay, where are things gonna go wrong? What's gonna happen? We still have so many episodes left to go. Where are we at here? This is not going to go well.
I knew it was going to happen because I was spoiled to what was going to happen. Like, she was going to die. She was going to be shooting people. So I was like, oh, it's gonna have to happen now. So how are they going to pull it off? Are they going to pull it off in any kind of an interesting way? No, it was a complete cheap accident. I felt so betrayed. I felt so like they could have done it in so many different, more interesting ways, like Lelouch. They could have made Lelouch an actual villain there as well. They could have tried so much more with his character than that. But it was just an accident. It was just an accident, and that feels so cheap.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
If they wanted to do that, they should have just done more with it.
That's the reason why it hits so hard. I think that's the reason why it hits so hard.
Yeah, but just because it hits...
Because, Lelouch is the kind of person... Lelouch is the kind of person where, he wants to have everything under control, and he wants, to get everything done his way, and then things slip out of his control.
Just because it hits hard doesn't mean
that's
it's
amazing.
good.
It wouldn't hit hard if it wasn't good.
No. If a show is good
I know
up to
the
the point
Yuffie
where
moment
something
is...
happens, then something will hit hard. Like, say, if Edward Elric would have died in episode 35 of the show, that would have hit hard because it would have had a big impact on the show, because up to then the show was really good. But then something shitty happened because the writers are shitting themselves, and all of a sudden it's not so good anymore. Just because...
It all depends on what you do after.
Yes, and I mean, anything after was just a repeat of the same thing. They just returned to the same place. They just had to do the same thing all over again, but without Yuffie.
More or less, yeah. But like we said, season 2 is a clusterfuck.
It didn't matter at all, in any sense.
It did matter. It absolutely mattered. It mattered to the characters, and that's what matters.
Just to the characters, but nothing to the story structure or what was how the things were achieved. I'm done.
I mean, the story structure was kind of all over the place to begin with. Like, originally Lelouch had no, interest in the Japanese people anyways. He just wanted to, kill his dad. And then he was like, then Yuffie came along and was like, you know what, she's a good person, so, let's just go with her. So, from the very beginning, her being there derailed the plot to begin with. Hence why, another build-up part where you're like, no, this is not going to work. Lelouch, has nothing to do with Lelouch's goal or motivations, so, yeah. And then everything happening after that, that's when Lelouch takes over, not just it's basically turns into using the Japanese people for his end goal to, making the liberation of the Japanese people a part of his goal. It's not just about getting revenge for his father anymore.
I wish I remembered as much about the show than you do. I barely remember any of that.
I mean, you don't have to like it, but you cannot say it's not good, because it was a very good moment.
I know.
I think the reason why a lot of people like it just has everything to do with, how rarely things like that are used in fiction, because like how everybody would say, how everybody says, if a writer, like, no writer would have ever approved or 2020 if it had been a show, because it would have just been too unrealistic. It's that kind of a situation. But things happen like that sometimes. Even if we don't like it, even if it's not fair, even if it feels forced and contrived, it just does. And showing that once in a while in a show is okay.
I disagree. It was not a good moment, but we could be talking about this for like an hour more, and we don't have the time for that. Did you watch anything else?
Nope, that's it.
That was an hour of Sheila talking about it.
Okay, but we went through like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 shows, so...
And I can easily tell I've watched 6 episodes of Megalobox, which I haven't finished yet, evidently, and I don't really have much to say about it yet. And I've watched the first episode of The Promised Neverland, which was fine.
Season 2?
Fine. It was good. Season 2. It was good, like the previous season was.
Don't know about good.
You didn't like it? It was.
I just don't like Promised Neverland in general, to be honest. I just can't really.
You don't. What do you not?
The kids, like
the
stupid
kids aren't
orange-haired
acting
kid.
like kids. Is that
the stupid? Well, that's true, but they're just like I just don't like them.
As characters?
But Emma is the
Yeah,
sunshine.
I just don't care. I just don't care. Normally, I'm into the super empathetic characters, but I just do not care about the girl with the orange hair, or the kid with the black hair, or any of the other children who's nobody knows the names of, to be honest, because they're just like so.
See, that's how invalid
like,
Pory's
they're
opinions
just so
is, because
forgettable.
he thinks Neko Monogatari is great and he doesn't like The Promised Neverland.
Nekomonogatari is fucking good.
The Promised Neverland is better.
Okay, sorry, but we never had you defend Nekomonogatari, which is something I did want to have you do.
By all means.
I love when something that doesn't appear to be like deep at all is. So it looks like, a fan
You
service show.
think Monogatari is deep? That's cute.
What? Did you
Yes.
watch it? The whole domestic abuse thing?
Yes, they touch on it. They never really explore it. You can barely call that deep.
I don't think so. There's that scene where her house is she walks home and it's all this it's this really dark green color, I think.
Yeah,
I'm just,
it's one moment and then the entire
remember
show is it happens, we can't change it, deal
so
with it.
good. That's why I like it. That's why I like shows that are like that. I don't want the show I'm fine with the show being about domestic abuse, and I'm down with the show being a fan service show. But when you're both, it just feels so much more impactful because you don't expect the show to go into anything more than what you would expect. That's why I like Lucky Star as well. It's so much more powerful when a show just takes that U-turn and then jumps back again, the next minute. It's so, I don't know, it just feels so satisfying.
I would have maybe agreed with you if it actually had explored the theme instead of just saying it's there. But it doesn't. There is no exploration of it.
I would have to watch it again to be able to say why you're wrong, but
We hear these words a lot. I'd have to watch it.
I mean,
again.
literally what happens
I don't
is-
understand how Sheila
literally
remembers
what
a million
happens-
shows.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Go on.
How do you I don't have infinite memory for shows I watched 5 years ago. I don't understand how you manage to remember everything.
She's got a lot more terabytes stored in that
Yeah.
brainiverse.
I need to download more RAM, I think.
I mean, literally what
Just
happens
gotta put in an Elon Musk chip.
in Nekomonogatari is, even in Bakemonogatari, they touch upon it that, it's there and it happens, but oh god, that really pissed me off in Bakemonogatari, that basically saying that, what was it, 2 months, 3 months maybe of class president being in love with Koyomi generates as much stress as, the 15 years of abuse that she suffered. That was bullshit to begin with. And then in Nekomonogatari, basically what happens is they say, it happens, and then it's already it's being thrown into the wind the very moment class president says that I'll fulfill you any one wish if you don't tell anybody about this, right? And that's the end of that conversation. And they touch upon it they have this 2 or 3 more times before they mention something and then immediately run back into jokes instead of trying to figure out what does that do to her, what does that do to her psyche, what does that how does that affect her everyday life? Why is this so awful? How does she suffer from it? None of that is ever touched upon. There's this one scene where he goes into the house and there's no room for that. And then there's the fact that, there's so much stress that she does get possessed in the first place, only to be then, so overpowered that she possesses the demon right back. But there's no exploration of it. There is no delving into the themes and no
Wait, she doesn't do
showcasing
that.
of how awful this actually is for the person, because she is so absolutely perfect that, even if it does affect her, she never outwardly shows it to begin with.
No, she's perfect because she has to compensate for how she has to overcompensate for how she feels inside. So she masks it by putting the aura of, the perfect human being, so nobody would think this person has, an
Then
issue.
show that.
Did you watch the show?
Like I said, I watched all the way up to Nekomonogatari. They literally say in the show that she's almost, that she herself is almost at fault for the abuse because she's so perfect that people can't be around her without knowing their own faults. That is the thing that they say. And I wanted to punch every single character in that show at that moment.
Can you recite the entire 4 episodes scene by scene, Sheila?
No.
Because it sounds like you could.
I can paraphrase. Just
there's
about
a
all of
scene
it.
where there's a scene that happens.
And that's not even that, like, that happens in, like, real life.
Yes, it does happen in real life.
That, like, if somebody...
No, actually, that doesn't happen in real life. Nobody is that perfect in real life.
But it does happen that people will get angry at somebody being better than them, and so they'll put that anger on them instead of, realizing that they're the one at fault.
Yes, that is true. But
and now Hane kind of internalizes that, and so she thinks, oh, there's something to criticize me for, so now I need to be even better, and so it, like, perpetuates this cycle. I don't see.
Yes, then explore that. Don't just mention it in, like, 2 sentences and then make a joke out of it.
I don't think you need to, because I think the point is clear enough. I don't think they need to, like, go on a big escapade on explaining it. I think it's pretty...
It's not about explaining it, it's about exploring it. The fact that we have a character, like, what did you say her name was? Hanakawa, right? That we have a character like Hanakawa going through all of this, and then the character that we focus on is Koyomi, the one with a basically perfect home life who, went through all of his problems already, and barely interacts with her. That's the difference between Monogatari and Rascal Dreams of Bunny Girl Senpai, The main character in Bunny Girl Senpai interacts and works through the problems with the characters. So we see what they're going through, and we see how that affects them, and we see what it does to them. Monogatari doesn't really do that much.
Well, let me get a controversial opinion out of you. You like... Which do you like more? The Monogatari series or Rascal Doesn't Dream of Bunny Girl Senpai? Yes?
Bunny Girl Senpai.
Yeah, that's wrong.
I knew it.
I told you that before, though.
Yeah, I think we've had this argument before about how that's just the correct opinion.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm pretty
we
sure.
have.
Yeah, that's just not correct.
You are wrong. Bunny Girl Senpai is objectively better.
I don't think so. I don't
care what you think.
I think the Monogatari series is objectively better. I think we've kind of what?
Railed?
No, valued the meaning of objective. There we go.
I mean,
because if we both think it's objectively true, then
in this case, I'm using objectively as a joke.
One person is
so there's that too.
wrong.
In this particular instance.
Yeah, I mean that's true. Yeah, I mean the word objectively is a joke, so makes sense.
Oh, funny. But let's move on. Pory, well, let's, you've been watching the seasonals, because we have a new season. Give me the best and the worst.
The worst? How long do you want the list?
You're the curator here.
This season's very interesting. There's more shows that are good than there were last year, but the amount of shows that are just, like, abhorrently terrible, like, could it be worse if they tried, is very interesting. The best and the worst. Huh? Okay, we'll sort by score. Oh, I think that's website score. That sucks. Give me a second.
Yeah, because we don't need to bother with the boring shows, the shows that are like a 5 out of 10 that don't really achieve.
Well,
anything
I was thinking,
at all.
I was gonna say like when I was like, oh, I'm talking about seasons today. What am I gonna say? I thought I was gonna be saying this season's way better, but it's like, I mean, there are more shows that are good, but the amount of shows that are just completely fucking abysmal.
There's nothing in the middle. It's either completely terrible.
Well,
or
it's either
very good.
good or terrible. there's not anything that like blows you away as being incredible though. Other
I mean,
than
there's
okay, I'll start talking about this first because this is either
Yeah.
going to be amazing or it's going to be like very disappointing. So where is it? Okay,
Horimiya.
so, no, Wonder Egg
Oh.
Priority. All right,
Oh.
this show is very interesting. The way
It sounds so weird.
yeah,
The
well,
name
well,
is- the
well,
name
it fits
is
the show then, doesn't it? It's because it is weird. So, the show is about this girl who is bullied, and so she doesn't go to school. And one day she's like walking around at like midnight or like super early in the morning. And you can't tell if she's hallucinating, if she's asleep, and she's dreaming, or if there's like actually like this spirit of a. She buries this insect, and then the insect like resurrects, and takes her to like an Alice in Wonderland-esque hole, and in this hole is this like land where there are friends in eggs, and you smash the egg, and you get a friend out of it.
It sounds like Shugokera.
So you complete.
Yeah, I was thinking like mostly because of the eggs, but we'll continue.
So so it's about like bullying, but the problem is the show is that it has this like really artsy, convoluted premise, and the show looks like that. The way the pedantic romantic described it was like an Ikuhara show, and like it is like that. In fact, it's very much like Sarazanmai.
Sarazanmai, yeah.
Which has the same problem, I think, where the point of the show is so obvious. Like, it couldn't be more, like, they might as well just, like, have a big thing of text saying this show is about bullying, because it couldn't be more blatant. But that really feels like shit when the show itself wants to be, like, super artsy and, like, you know, very, like, art house.
It's not very subtle about its theme.
It's not very subtle about its themes, but the show, like, visually and, like, the premise is so completely unbelievably convoluted. Which Sarazanmai has the same problem. So, yeah, it just makes, like, the art, like, so the show wants to be smart, but it doesn't feel like it's that smart because, you know, it doesn't do what, like, it's not like Utena, where the point is, like, completely, you know, you have to watch the show, like, a million times to even understand what the show's about.
I love shows like that.
And, like, every detail is, like, and like, every detail is really important, and it says something about all the characters and all the motivations and all of the, like, the themes and everything like that.
Pory, have you ever watched
yeah, so,
Cloud
like,
Atlas?
the two just don't work together. Cloud Atlas?
Yes.
No.
It's
I
a
haven't seen
movie.
that.
I think you would like it.
I haven't seen that. Okay, I'll watch it.
Just a random recommendation.
Yeah, so it just, but yeah, it just doesn't work. Like, it just doesn't work having this show where the point is so obvious, and then it just doesn't look like it would be that. It just doesn't fit. So if the show can stop being really obvious, then it'll be really good. But if it doesn't, it'll just keep feeling really awkward and just like it's like it was written by one person and then like directed by another person. Well, it was, but
I mean,
you get
that's
the point.
usually how
Like,
it
feels like
works.
it's two different shows that they put together. Yeah, I mean, it's like they took the script of one show and then the show of another show and put them together. Yeah, so it just feels off. But maybe it'll probably be good. Hopefully.
What about Horimiya? Because we
That
talked about Horimiya before.
if Egg Priority isn't the best show, then Horimiya is definitely the best show.
I love Horimiya so much.
Yeah, it's really, really. It's very.
Shayla
I love
called
it.
She
I do
called
like
I
it a lot.
fucking called it.
Speaking of characters that are very empathetic, the characters in this show are very empathetic. I really like this show.
You know, I heard that Jeff Thu, you know, Mother Spaceman referred to Morimiya, you know, the male lead, as hidden weeb, crouching weeb, hidden himbo, and like this is the only way I'm going to use from now on to describe his character because it's so fitting. Crouching weeb, hidden, crouching weeb, hidden himbo.
He's not a weep though.
Yeah, that's the point. That's why
And he
crouching
doesn't
weeb.
crouch either.
Do you
Yeah.
really not? Do you have so
I don't get
little,
this. I don't get what it's supposed to mean.
You,
I don't get what
you've
it's
never
supposed to mean.
watched Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon?
Oh, I've never seen that either. No. Clearly, I've never watched anything.
No, me neither. I've never even heard of that.
It's one of the most famous movies to have ever come out of China. It completely revolutionized fight choreography in cinema worldwide.
Okay, now I've definitely heard of it before, but I would have no way of knowing what you were talking about.
Yeah, so Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon is a world-famous movie, like I said, coming out of China, and the name now is generally referred to, crouching being, something that somebody looks like on the outside, the crouching something, hence, the crouching tiger, referring to the tiger that, backs away. It might be dangerous, but backs away and tries to make peace and tries to get away from whatever dangerous moment there is. Versus the hidden dragon, what the crouching tiger actually is a hidden dragon, aka a divine beast, and that has been used in references for a lot of things. Like there is a anime trope called what was it called? Crouching Moron, Hidden Badass, which basically refers to the shonen protagonist that is,
every shonen protagonist.
Not every shonen protagonist, but the 90s/2000s shonen protagonists. The Gokus and Luffys that you're looking at them, you'll be like, oh, they're a moron, but in reality they're a badass. So in this case, crouching weeb hidden himbo is Miyamura. Originally comes off as a weeb because people, by his looks, people think he's one of these disgusting, filthy otakus that, collects the figures and has all the body pillows, but in reality, he's, one of the most lovable himbos out there because he's also, he's good looking and he's dumb as shit, so.
Is there anything else very good airing right now?
Nope.
That's all?
I
mean, that isn't the second season.
Yeah, it's not a second season, no. Oh, there is that isekai thing that's good.
Yeah.
Mushoku Tensei.
Tensei. Yeah.
Have you watched
that's fine,
the one I'm really curious about that I want to know your opinion on is the one about the kid in the boonies coming to the big city?
Kimono Jihen?
No, not that. I know Kimono Jihen is great.
No, it's terrible.
Imagine a kid from the boonies went to the big city or something on those lines. What do you mean Kimono Jihen is terrible? Fuck you.
Yeah, it's not terrible.
Your opinions are invalid.
It's really ugly, and it's Mob Psycho 100,
Why?
but really ugly and not interesting.
Really? It's ugly? They made the show
Why is that
ugly?
interesting?
No. The manga was so
Well,
pretty.
the characters
though.
look fucking ugly.
Why is it not interesting?
Because the reason Mob Psycho is interesting is because Mob is this really he's not super complicated, but he's he's the culmination of all things young boy, and then he has to he figures out that if you just be slightly interested in not being as moron, then you can get yourself improve your life. The main character in this guy's personality is that he doesn't have a personality.
Yet.
Well, yet, but I mean, I don't really believe in yet in shows. Like I drop them before then, so.
That does not really give a lot of room for
You don't
development,
have time
though.
for shows. No, I mean,
lack of personality. A lack of personality is not a personality.
Like, you can't just say, oh, he doesn't have a personality yet. He gets it eventually. Because you have to give something a personality at the start to have him develop into something else. Or make it interesting to watch for different reasons.
Yeah, I mean, I forget. Oh my god, I think it's in a oh my, what's the bloke's name? It's in Econ's video about Darling and the Franxx, where he's quoting. Fucking hell, I might have to find the quote, and then we can put it on the video. But it's basically that a lack of personality, a character that is reactive. There is a difference between a character reacting and a reactive character. And he is a character that is reacting. He's not a reactive character.
What is the difference?
Well, someone who's...
short...
it's basically that a reactive character is somebody that is, paying attention to everything that's going on. And then he has to, he figures out who he is because... And, he becomes a character eventually because he takes in all of the, outside stimuluses and then becomes a person. But a character that is reacting is literally just like a blank slate that you throw something at and then something bounces off. which isn't a person.
But
Like that's just nothing.
no. But that's not what he like. Okay, again, I haven't seen the anime, but in the manga at least, he is shown from the very beginning that one of his traits is that he's very highly observant. And the reason why I say he doesn't have a character yet is because he has nothing really to care about at this point. So there's nothing really to bring his personality out.
I have nothing to care about either. I mean, yeah, he doesn't have anything to care about, which is true, but neither do I. That's the problem. Like
you care about a lot of things. Don't try and come off as that too cool for school anime protagonist.
Well, I mean, the show gives me actually nothing to care about because I mean, yeah, I like. Well, I mean, the femboy character is kind of nice. I like that guy, but like other than like, yeah, but he's not the main character, unfortunately. Yeah, I don't know.
You just call him a she.
They say this in the show. They say they're a boy.
Yes, and you just called him a she.
Oh, did I? I'm pretty sure I didn't. Oh well, oops. Freudian slip.
Oops. What made you care about Kemono Jihen from the very start, Shay? Not later on. What made you care right from the start?
The main
in
character,
the manga,
actually.
We're talking about the manga.
Yeah, the main character, actually. Because
they were so observant?
Yes. I like observant characters. I like smart characters. I like characters that have a brain.
Only that? Mm.
And I also like the way, like, one of the things that really fascinated me was the way everybody reacted to him. Because, it sets up the typical underdog story. But, unlike in most underdog stories, like, let's say, Naruto, for example, he wasn't really faced. Instead, staying very down-to-earth and very logical about his surroundings. And that always intrigues me. But then there's also, like, the question of, what's this guy's deal? Because if there's, just a little bit sprinkled in there, to me, that immediately means there's something there, and I want to figure out what it is, right?
Just to so everyone knows, because I don't, for example, what is Kemono Jihen about, in short?
Oh, that's the one that I said last time about the detective that picks up this little boy that's half ghoul.
Oh. I mean, it sounds like an interesting premise.
It is an interesting premise. Also, like I said, a lot of sexual fuck-uppery.
Sexual fuck-uppery.
Yeah. Remember that's the show where I was like, yeah, everybody has been sexually abused in one way or another.
Oh, I see. Yeah, didn't get that. I haven't got that far.
The first character out comes out pretty late. Well, I don't know how late it's going to be in the anime. I don't know. Like I said, I haven't even seen the first episode, so I don't know how fast the pacing is. One of my biggest problems about Horimiya is that the pacing was so ridiculously fast. Like,
really?
There was an entire season's worth of content in one episode. I'm like, slow down,
yeah,
guys.
That was good. I was into that. That was good.
I don't know. I like it when a show can take it slow. When they can give the characters time to breathe and to just be.
I don't know. I don't think. Like I was sold on them as them together immediately. Like I was like, oh yeah, that's fucking. Like, yeah, I didn't need them to,
Yeah,
I was
so
waiting
did
for
I.
I was waiting for them to figure it out. Like, and that was in one episode. Like I was. Yeah, I don't think they needed more time.
I mean, so do I. Even when I first read it, I was like you, I was immediately hooked and immediately sold. But even then, I wished, that we just would spend more time with these characters being characters and would have, more there to develop the show. Like, do you know the concept of Ma?
Explain it to me.
Ma is a Japanese word for, that empty space in between. Like, Hayao Miyazaki explained it as, the silence in between a clap. Right? Here in the West, we, in film school, we mostly call that, contrast. We don't have a word for the different parts of the contrast. It's just, contrast between the loud and the silent, between things happening, between something not happening. The Ma is the entire reason why, for example, the train scene from Chihiro, where we have 2 or 3 minutes of just Chihiro looking out the window, contemplating, letting everything fall on her, going through in her head, going through, digesting everything that's happened to her. It's why that scene is so strong and hits so hard. And the Ma is also the reason why I like these slow burn shows, because we just get to spend time, with these characters being characters and bonding as characters before things happen. And Horimiya is such a good show with such strong characters that I honestly wished, I would have seen more of that. We would have gotten to see more of that before, we come to that realization that, they are bonded now.
guess the director doesn't understand the concept of ma.
It's also very fast. It's probably just a very faithful adaptation because it's also very fast in the manga.
Then, where are you pulling this? They should have slowed it down thing from.
The fact that I also
Just
think
because
it's
you
very
want to
fast
see
in the
more
manga.
characters?
I was hoping that the anime, as it adapts, would catch up on that and slow it down a bit. That was my hope.
Give it extra scenes, filler.
Yeah, just
yeah,
moments
I mean,
of them being.
That's usually what you.
Just moments of them, being together in their house as characters, spending time with one another. There's nothing wrong with that. In a small show like that, that's very important.
Did you watch episode 2?
Right.
Not yet, no. I've only watched episode 1 so
Okay,
far.
episode 2 is a lot slower.
Okay, so it slows down. It's just the first episode that has such a ridiculous pace.
Well,
Pace. Huh?
well, I mean, it's a lot. Episode 2 is a lot slower. I have no idea. I can't speak on the rest of the show, but episode 2 is definitely a lot slower.
Okay.
We'll put a pin in that and see
How it develops from
Sheila
here.
thinks about that. Yep. Is there anything bad in this season?
Every
Like,
other
horribly
show.
bad?
No, I'm joking.
Okay, I still want to
mean,
hear about that kid in the boonies. Tell me about that.
I think I talked about that last time. That's the one about the lolly grandma and the. Am I right? I think
What?
so.
No. It's the one about that kid that is in a village somewhere in the middle of
Yeah.
nowhere coming to the big city. And being
and
like
he stays,
totally
and he,
overpowered.
and he stays with like a witch, and there's like and the witch I've talked about that show. That show's really bad.
Oh.
That show's terrible.
Aw, it has such a
Unless I'm
okay.
thinking
I
of-
don't trust your judgment
Aw.
because you still
Wait.
think that Monogatari is
Unless I'm
better
losing
than
my
Bunny Girl
mind.
Senpai.
Unless I'm losing my mind. Okay, can you give me the name in Japanese?
例えば Last Dungeon 前の村
Oh
の
yeah,
少年
I
が
did talk
昭
about
和
this.
の
I did,
街で暮ら
I
すよう
did
な
talk
物
about
語
this show. I did talk about this show, yeah.
Like I said, I don't quite
listen
trust your
to episode,
judgment, but we'll see.
Listen to episode 5. I talked about it then. Oh yeah, yeah, I did talk about this show.
And it-
Yeah, it's really terrible. Wait, did you like the show? I talked about this last time. Did you not? Why didn't you tell me I was like?
Oh no, I haven't watched it. Like I said, I don't really watch
Oh,
seasonals.
it's
I
really
never
bad.
watch things episode
It's
for episode.
really, it's like no, it's not. It's
Why
like
is it so
every
bad?
isekai, but it's done muchy, but Belle is
Oh
yeah, it's done muchy, but the main character's OP, so like that part of the appeal is gone. And instead of it being Belle, it's like every isekai protagonist, so that part of the appeal is gone.
Okay, but every
So
isekai
you're just
protagonist is basically just like a like a self-important
but
real life
Belle isn't.
loser, and
Oh,
he
no,
looks
the main
like just an innocent little kid. He looks cute.
No, he has this gimmick where he doesn't realize that he's like insanely overpowered, and so like he'll do these insane feats of strength and then be like, oh shit, I didn't but the only person he's ever known to do magic was the lolly, and the lolly is like one of the strongest wizards that exists. So he's like, he does this ridiculous feat and he's like, oh, I didn't do, yeah, so he's like, everyone else is like completely awestruck, but he doesn't realize that.
Yeah,
You know,
the
he's,
way
like, a
Mother's
million times
Basement
stronger than everyone
described the show is that, because he grew up in a village where, heroes would go to retire, he was always, one of the weakest characters growing up, and that's why he has coming to the city where, normal people are, he has no idea of how strong he actually is.
Yeah. I
Which,
mean,
it
it's not very
sounds, to
funny.
me, that sounds adorable. Like, it
I mean,
honestly
maybe.
sounds like the kind of person who I would just want to, give a big hug to.
It would maybe be cuter if all the characters didn't want to fuck him. Because it's hard to find somebody who's like a sex magnet as, cute. He's like, yeah, everyone wants to have sex with him, so
No,
not exactly,
one of those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, the guy is God, so maybe that's why everyone wants to have sex with him.
Except in his own village.
Just like Zeus.
I'll give it a
no,
try
no,
anyways.
the village,
The other way
the
around.
village elder wants to have sex with him too.
Interesting. I'll give it a try
And she's
anyways
like a,
because depending on how it's done, it doesn't always turn me off. It kind of didn't in in Slime Isekai, and it looks like it has that same happy-go-lucky, cutesy feel to it as Slime Isekai does. So one of these days I'll watch it.
I mean, no one in Slime Isekai wanted to fuck the slime.
Oh,
though,
please,
right?
everybody
they all
wanted
do.
to fuck
They
that
all want to
fucking
fuck
slime.
him. They all want to fuck him.
Everybody wants to fuck the slime.
But I mean, in that show it makes more sense because he is a benevolent overlord, and they are all, he basically invented culture for monsters, so it makes a lot more sense in that show. Yeah, I mean,
We'll see.
And if anything else that's terrible that you want
No,
to
not really.
highlight, that's worth no, not really.
yeah, everything's terrible. So I could have picked any show and said why it was terrible. So yeah.
Okay. How many shows do you think you'll be continuing to watch?
14 maybe. Oh, but
14.
Precure's already a thing, so it doesn't count, and Pokemon's already a thing, so it doesn't count, and maybe like 9.
Any kid shows this season?
Unfortunately,
Transition.
maybe we could have timed this.
Transition.
We could have maybe we could have timed this episode better because the new Precure doesn't start until next month. So we could have maybe timed it better. That's really unfortunate. Yeah, the new Precure starts next month, so unlucky. Maybe I should have warned you. I don't know.
Okay, let me just start with a very controversial question. Then, what's the best kid show?
Oh shit.
Pokemon 2019.
Cardcaptor Sakura.
Yeah, Pokemon 2019 easily.
Cardcaptor Sakura.
That's fucking good.
Cardcaptor Sakura.
Yeah.
Okay, are we talking about kid
Yeah,
anime or kid show in general?
Oh,
I think kid shows in general.
I don't know.
Avatar: The Last Airbender.
That's not a kid show. That's a teen
It is.
show.
It's a kid show.
I count kid shows as for like under 10.
Yes, it's starting at 6.
Okay, well, I would not make it. I don't think I would. I don't think if I was 6 I would enjoy Avatar, to be honest. But
No, but that's because you're.
thanks so much. Appreciate that.
Like I said, don't trust Pory's judgment. I stand by it.
No. What are the perimeters? What are the perimeters for a kid show? When does a kid show become not a kid show anymore? Like
I think a kid show is a kid show so long as the target audiences are kids. Simple as that.
Wow. No, but I think when people say kid show, they mean it's for like young children. Like it's for less than 10. Like that is. I don't think people say like
I
is
would
Naruto
say-
a kid show? I don't think so.
It is. I would say so. But I would say,
Okay.
well, the original Naruto, Shippuden, I
No.
would be a bit different on. Because kid shows, in Japan are very different from, kid shows in the West. When we think kid shows in the West, the same things, the same age group is represented very differently in between, Japan and
Yeah,
the West. So there's
but-
that too.
kids in the West. Let's put it like that. We are of Western culture. So when we talk about a kid show, we talk about kid shows that kids in the West would watch.
Okay, no,
Oh.
it's not about watching. It's about being targeted at. Like the kid shows made in the West for 13-year-olds are very differently put together and have very different themes and very different topics than kid shows made for 13-year-olds in Japan. Is what I'm
Yeah.
saying here.
I see.
I think that
So-
stems down to like 6-year-olds. To be honest, I think that's.
I mean, that's. But to say that Pokemon and Naruto, they don't feel like they should belong.
Yeah,
in
I
the
think
same
it's.
Oh, they don't.
I think when most people
Pokemon
say.
is
I think-
starting at 6 and Naruto is starting at 13. So yeah, Naruto
When
I think would be not a kid show anymore just for that. So everything up until 13 would still be
Okay,
kid show.
I can work with this definition.
Okay. How do we determine what age group a show is aimed at?
When
It's
people
usually
stop
there's
watching
usually
it.
some kind of rating system out there, like in movies, PG, PG-13, G, and so on and so forth. Japan has it too.
I don't know how. Yeah, and you can tell by like where it's aired. I don't know how it works in Japan, but there are dedicated children's television channels, and there are
Yeah.
I mean, time slots as well.
Yep.
exactly.
So then, yeah. Pokemon, you say Cardcaptor Sakura. I mean, you've not seen Cardcaptor Sakura. I mean,
Yeah, I can't disagree because I haven't seen it.
It's good. It's like
isn't
really
that
good.
sad?
It's really really good. You should watch it.
I imagine I'll like it.
So make a case for Ida then.
Pory, why don't you start?
Why do you think and like what makes a good kid show, and why is Pokemon that best kid show that does all those things right?
Oh, if I have to explain why a kid show is good, my vote is not Pokemon.
Why does that change things?
Because it's. I think you could be
Because it's not his favorite. He doesn't
5
actually
years
think
old
it's
or
good.
45 years old. No, if you could be, I mean, what?
Because it's just his favorite, and he doesn't actually think it's good.
It is my
There's
favorite.
a difference there.
Yeah, no, it is good, but it's not good because it's a kid show. And I don't know what I would say because like the reason that I like kid shows generally is that they'll take a topic about the world and explain it in a really in a way that young people understand, and I appreciate that because I'm like the way they're explaining this wider thing in the world in a way that children understand is very interesting.
Right.
But yeah, Pokemon doesn't do that. Pokemon's good because it's like really fun and really like bombastic and high energy, and Pokemon are cool.
I mean, I don't.
And the music's good.
I don't think we can say. I mean, can we say? What do you think? Should we say a kid show as being the best or being good because it is able to cater to kids better than all the others, or should we say kid shows are good because of how they are structured, how the story is written, how the characters
Can
are
be
done?
both.
Because that's two
Different shows are good for different reasons. Depends on what they're trying to do.
Okay. And how do we?
Yeah, we're trying to. But yeah, but
You know,
I mean,
just like
I think
yeah.
Speedy's problem is that we're comparing
Yeah,
apples
just
to
like
oranges.
just
Yeah.
like in how I was telling Pory when we had the art discussion, there is no one best show out there. You know, there are a whole bunch of shows that are like
I
all the
see.
way up there,
Right.
and they're going to be similarly good for vastly different reasons, heavily depending on what you're trying to do.
Right. Then I'll just revert back to my question. If you don't want to use Pokemon, that's fine too. Just use something else. But what makes a kid show good, and what do you think? Whatever you pick is making that keep holding those standards.
Honestly, I think what makes a kid show good is the same thing that makes every show good. There's no difference there. The only difference is, what is it? The only thing that makes a kid show for kids is, what is it allowed to show? In terms of, things such as blood, drugs, violence, and so on and so forth. But aside from that, that to me, should be the only difference between a kid show and a not kid show in, it's still all about how well are the characters written, how good are the themes, If it's for very small kids, like 3, 4, 5-year-olds, it could also be, what do you learn from it? But even then, you should always be able to learn something from an adult show.
I don't know, like something like Eurocamp, for example. I wouldn't call it a kid show, but I'm pretty sure that's in the official category of PG below. Like you can show this to a child and it wouldn't offend them or shock them or anything. But I don't think it's a kid show because it's aimed towards.
No. You asked what makes a kid show good, what the requirements are, and I think the requirements are just about the same.
I'm messing things up in my head about this. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, but the part about like what you're allowed to show is where the skill is, because, that's like, so for example, I'm watching my first Precure right now, Healing Good Precure, and I really like that show because they will explain a problem, and then have the Precures fight the problem, but it will be like a monster. So, like, I mean, the whole point of the show is that the Byogens are undermining the Earth. Basically, they're polluting the Earth.
Right.
And the Precure have to, like, recycle, like, basically. Like, they have to, they're, like, environmentalists. And in fact, there's even an episode where they meet an environmentalist, and the environmentalist is like, we have to look after the trees and the birds and stuff. And so... If you're like a 7-year-old, you can't understand that the Earth is, on fire and the world's gonna end. But you can understand that big monster shooting muck at trees is bad.
Right.
So yeah, so that's like really powerful because it gets the same point across, but in a way that a child would
Yeah,
understand.
that's a very common kaiju thing.
Which is why I like it.
You know, that's what Godzilla was in the beginning.
I don't watch kaiju.
Godzilla was absolutely not a kid's movie. It was like the very first Godzilla was actually a horror movie, believe it or not, and a very effective horror movie too. I watched it and it like sent shivers down my spine because it has some very, very, very bleak moments in there. Do not watch Godzilla if if you are an emotional person. It will absolutely destroy you. But that's what it was. Godzilla was a metaphor for for the dangers of nuclear fallout after the Bikini Atoll testings.
Yeah, I've seen a comparison between how Western media and Japanese media portray the impact of nuclear fallout or whatever for a human. Like, for example, Spider-Man got created by a nuclear spider, which is like a good thing, whereas Godzilla got created by something nuclear, which is a bad thing. It's a very rudimentary, crude comparison, but it's I found it a very fun observation.
I mean, it's very obvious because like the U.S. especially and the West have two very different histories with nuclear anything. The West, especially the U.S., has had the atom bomb on their side, and they've never had to suffer from a nuclear disaster. And the nuclear bomb basically won them the war. And even after the war was over, they kept doing nuclear testing in Bikini Atoll, and which is basically the oceanic backyard of Japan. Like, if you really ever want to depress yourself, just look up what happened to the citizens of Bikini Atoll and what the Bikini Atoll testing was all about. But basically speaking, long version short, in Bikini Atoll, the after World War II, like several decades, I think, still till after World War II, the U.S. kept doing nuclear tests on this little chain of islands called the Bikini Atoll Islands, and they tested with bombs that were much, much, much dirtier than the bombs on bombs dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and let's just say that the fallout went all the way to Mexico. That's how dirty it was.
Oh.
And the citizens there suffered immensely. Japan suffered immensely, and they were still, as a nation, they were still heavily traumatized by what happened in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Only to find out that these same people that did these horrible things there are still testing with this absolutely awful weapon. And in Japan, for the longest time, they weren't allowed to talk about it. The U.S. government had forbidden the people to talk about it, and shortly after that ban was lifted, Godzilla came out, basically, being a way to digest that trauma, and being a representation of both the tragedies that happened in Bikini Atoll. Like, he is probably a direct result. Like, the testings that they were referencing, the bombing, is probably from Bikini Atoll because it happens in the middle of the ocean. It's not, the bombs dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. But the destruction that he makes are basically, copy-paste of what happened in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, only, slower. And so that we can see it in, like, all of the deadly detail. And the U.S. never had experiences like that. To them, anything nuclear has always been, power and strength and clean energy and only positive experiences. So of course they would think about it differently.
Mm-hmm. The things that will get us to discuss this.
Sorry, I really like Godzilla, the first movie, anyways. After that, it's a bit, just basically like fun monster shit doing, fun monster stuff. But the first Godzilla movie I absolutely love.
So back to, I think, Precure.
I don't know, I think I've said all. I think yeah. And then what another thing Precure does, which I think is even better, which they stopped doing, which kind of made me a bit upset, was the main character is alluded to having like terminal cancer, and like her motivation. Yeah, her motivation is that she suffered in hospital, and now she doesn't want anyone else to suffer. And I was like, if I was a child that had like a disease, and I was watching the show, I couldn't imagine a more impactful thing to watch than, and then then they didn't have it anymore, and it was kind of like a bit of an
Cop out.
Let down.
bit of a plot important,
Oh.
a bit of a cop out, which kind of sucked, but yeah, I was that is good shit. I wish kids shows in the West did that. That would be fucking.
Some kids in the West
epic.
actually do that.
They don't.
Like, I don't know. Have you ever watched Sheila and the Princess of Power? Watch Sheila and the
Nope.
Princess of Power. It's really freaking good. Actually, I remember in class last year we were preparing for job interviews, right? And so we did mock interviews, and my interviewer, we basically interviewed each other. My interviewer asked me, wouldn't I find it stifling or restrictive to work in kids animation, doing things for kids because there's so many things they can't talk about? And I told her no. On the contrary, actually, I would find it, if you are restricted, that's where creativity is born. Because if you want to talk about something, you just learn to talk about it in a kid-friendly way, and very often that means you don't get to use shortcuts. Like, let's say addiction, for example. You want to talk about addiction, you can't just show someone, you can't not just use the visual shortcut of, showing somebody drinking out of a bottle once or twice, and people immediately know, oh, he's addicted because, people have that experience. Kids are not going to have these experiences, therefore the visual metaphor isn't going to work. Hence when, the visual shortcut isn't going to work. So when you want to talk about it in a kids show, you need to dive into that topic. You need to explore it. And very often, mature themes, kids shows will explore better than adult shows will. For that reason exactly, because they have to get creative with it. They have to dive into it.
It's also, you have to want to do
Yes.
it, because in an adult show, you can just throw in someone with alcoholism or something like that. But if you wanted to talk about it in a kids show, you have to rigorously go okay, how do I dodge the censor every episode to be able to put this into my show?
And that's why I said Sheila and the Princess of Power is great, because one of the main themes is abuse, relationship abuse, right? In various different ways, abuse between parents and children, abuse between lovers, abuse between best friends, any type of abuse, and it goes there, it goes into those dark places, and it explores them, and it shows what it does to people, it shows, how it affects them, it shows how it can resolve in good ways, it shows how it can resolve in bad ways, it shows, what you're supposed to do, how promises can be broken, and how that's not always a bad thing, how promises can be kept, and that's not always a good thing. It shows, all of these in-between sides, and She-Ra is great, guys, watch She-Ra. But that's the reason why I love Digimon so much, right? Because once Digimon gets going, after those next 13 episodes, those first 12, 13 episodes, and it realizes it has time to explore things, it explores the kids, and it explores their home lives, and it explores, whatever issues they may have with friends, family, parents, brothers, sisters, you name it, any kinds of complexes that they have, and it explores all of these issues that may be too difficult to a kid to understand if you don't really go in there and explore them in the deepest possible depths. And Digimon was one of the first kid shows to really do that, and it was great, and it still is great. It still holds up until this very day.
Speedy, why don't you like kid shows?
I was waiting for that question. I think the biggest reason why I don't like kid shows is because I haven't watched enough of them. I don't think anything else would be fair for me to say. If I have to think about a kid show that I like, definitely Avatar: The Last Airbender. I think everyone likes that. I think that the kid shows that I watched most are those that they're very episodic. The theme that they try to bring, the lesson that they want to teach each episode, was very obvious, and at that point I was like, okay, get to the point. We get it. He's an alcoholic. I get it. Just show it, and let's move on to other things instead of going out these roundabout ways to show it, and then building a whole episode around a character learning this one simple lesson. But I think the reason why I have this perception of kid shows are very, very like that, they're very heavy on their themes and they're not very subtle about it is because I never really watched the good ones. Like when people mention what are good cartoons, for example, right? I don't think I've watched any of them. Like I haven't seen She-Ra. I haven't
Teen
seen
Titans.
Teen Titans.
Arnold.
Yes, that one. Or more.
Uh,
I've seen some of Hey Arnold. Hey Arnold was actually was fun. I've never really seen deeper meaning.
there are some episodes that are just so fucked up. Like, for example, when they go into Olga's home life, I'm like, holy shit, this is dark. I did not think it would go there.
I've heard about that one actually. Yeah, I've heard of that. That it goes there. Like I haven't seen those. I've seen snippets and bits of like other things, especially the older stuff. My parents used to show me a lot of cartoons. I'd say from the 80s. Like there was Niels Holgersson. There's
That's an anime?
the one about the duck. I mean, there's a lot of them are Alfred Judoka's Clock.
I love him so much.
Yes, I love that.
You
too.
love My Little Pony.
There's. I've never seen My Little Pony. There's the one about the little chick with the black chick with the white egg hat. Calimero, which is also an anime. But also there's one about a postman, and I think there was one about a car, but it was very different. I mean, they were very simple, right? Simple in themes. They just had to appeal to kids back then. They didn't really try more than that. Usually, I think when the 90s shows started to actually do more. I think Simpsons, for example, especially the early Simpsons, were pretty good.
Yes,
in
that's definitely
Simpsons
not a kid
is
show.
not
yeah,
a kid show. It's an Adult Swim show.
Oh yeah, true.
Kids
true.
watched it.
Right.
But...
Yeah, that's fair.
That's definitely not a kid's show. Absolutely not a kid's show.
Yeah, kids watch WWE. I mean, if it's children, not like.
They really shouldn't though.
yeah, it's not a kid show. You're right. Just as much as South Park is in the.
But it's animated, so it must be for children.
The 23rd.
Yeah, me too.
Ugh, I hate that notion so much. It wasn't always that way either.
Of course.
Okay, Okay, I wanted to say this a second
I'm
ago.
looking through a list of like really good kid shows right now. One that I've watched and that I would recommend to Speedy, and I mean Western cartoons, not anime, that I would recommend to Speedy are, of course, the Teen Titans and Avatar you've already seen. Phineas and Ferb could maybe be a bit too memey for you, but I absolutely love it.
Oh, Phineas and Ferb is fine, but it's the same way in that if it wants to tell a lesson, it's like one episode, one lesson. Here's the thing that we want to bring across.
But Phineas and Ferb literally never tells a lesson.
I don't think so.
That's kind of the point of the show. There are no lessons in Phineas and Ferb.
In that case, it's just a fun show. I don't remember enough about any of these shows to be able to say anything worthwhile on them. Go ahead.
Gravity Falls.
I tried
Gravity
that.
Falls.
Ooh, I feel like that's not a kid's show.
I don't like it just because I don't like Mabel.
That's not that.
Like, she gets on my nerves. That's the only reason why I haven't finished it.
I don't think that's a kid show though.
The 2013,
No,
it is a kid show. Gravity Falls is a kid show. It's Disney.
And the world
It's a kid
ends
show.
and like shit.
Yeah, it's still a kid show.
I don't think so.
The world also ends in Teen Titans. It also almost ends in Avatar.
Yeah,
It
I
ends
also
several
don't
times
think
over in
those are children's
Pokemon.
shows. To be honest, I think they're for young teenagers and up. But
The 2013 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is great. I love it so much. It's great.
is that the one with all the Sakuga in it?
Animaniacs.
Or is that the
Is that all the one with all the what?
the what am I saying? Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Is that the one with all the Sakuga in it? Or is that a new one?
It's a CG show.
Oh.
No, that was the 2018.
Yeah.
That one's mostly humor with, a bit of story in between. I mean, the humor is great, don't get me wrong, but it's going to be so dated in 5 years. I love the 2018 show, but it's a bit too episodic, I think, for Speedy's taste. He doesn't like episodic shows very much.
A lot of.
But it has a lot of very, very, very pretty Sakuga, that's true.
Yeah, that show's fucking amazing. Looks amazing.
Yes, it does. Like I said, Animaniacs. Kim Possible.
Kim Possible, I remember. I remember watching some of these on TV. I don't remember any of them. So you can.
Batman, the animated series. Although, in all honesty, I still don't think that one's a kid show. Like that one, I actually would agree is not a kid show. I don't know why it was on Fox Kids.
What year did it come out?
I don't remember.
Oh.
But it was on Fox Kids, so yeah. I think it came out in the 80s.
Oh, I'm thinking of another one then. I think the one I'm thinking of was on Boomerang, so it must have been.
Danny Phantom.
Oh, that's good.
Danny Phantom is great. I've rewatched it so many times.
I don't think my mother liked that one. My mother didn't like
that
cartoons.
That doesn't count.
In the first
Your mother
place.
didn't like a lot of things.
Yeah.
The new DuckTales. I think the old one would be a bit too episodic for your taste, but I think you'd really like the new DuckTales. Samurai Jack.
I tried the new DuckTales actually when it came out, but the voice acting was great, the animation was great, it was funny, but I don't know. It just doesn't make me want to watch all of it. Like maybe if I watch an episode occasionally, and that's what I've always had with cartoons of any kind, really, is that like, okay, one episode is fine, but I never feel that pull, that drive, like, oh, I want to see the next episode, I want to know what happens, because for the most part,
that's kind of the thing about kid shows, because like kids don't have control over their own schedule.
Exactly. And
it's not just cartoons, it's the same with anime.
I'm sorry?
It's the same with anime. Like, anime made most of our kids. Like, say Digimon, Pokemon, Pretty Cure, all of these, they're very episodic. They're episodic shows.
I think that's why I need a continuing line that doesn't stop every single episode to remain interested. I think that's also why it's very difficult for me to get through stuff like cute girls doing cute things shows or slice of life, because for the most part, even though perhaps it does tell a bigger story, the episodes are so self-contained that it doesn't really have a pull to watch the next episode.
Yeah, then just watch them once in a while. There's nothing wrong with that. Learn to enjoy them for what they are rather than for what you want them to be.
Right, I don't really usually make brain space for shows that I maybe should watch once in a while. They just kind of I don't really remember to do that at all.
You do it for Lucky Star?
No,
I watched like 6 episodes in like a million years.
I had to. I watched the third and the fourth. No, the fifth and the sixth episode just because Pory wanted to. I would have probably stalled it already on Anime Planet before then if that wasn't the case. And I think.
I mean, when I watch episodic shows like that, I also take forever to watch them. Like, I'm still working on Mushishi now. 3 months later, I think. But once in a while, I'm in a space where I'm like, I just want to watch an episode of something. I don't want a full show. Or I just want to watch something before I go to sleep. What do I have? And I put on Mushishi.
I think I am in that mood maybe once a year. For like 20 minutes.
Wow.
Because generally I'm very
You're never
tired.
in that headspace where you're just like, I just want to, watch something to end the day off. And I don't want it to be too long. Like, a movie is too long and a full series is definitely too long. Or if I start watching a series, I'm going to get too invested in it.
Yes, but usually I'm so tired that if I put on something like a slice of life or Cute Girls Doing Cute Things, I will be drifting away within the first 5 minutes. So it doesn't really make sense for me to watch it. Usually what I like to watch at the end of the day is infotainment. Like YouTube videos that infotainment. YouTube videos that try to teach me something in a fun way. You haven't heard of the word infotainment?
Some films shouldn't you?
I've heard it.
Yeah.
Sorry, I think.
You learn something. No, you learn something every.
I mean, to be fair, I'm learning film in French, so there's that too.
Oh, yeah, it's just information and entertainment.
In my defense.
Yeah, information given in a very entertaining way, and can be books, can be whatever. Like like a crash course or any kind of video that I mean, CGP Grey is a perfect example of infotainment. Though I think. I when I watch something that is very inconsequential, like I don't know. I mean, I might be offending Pory here when I say Lucky Star and say it's inconsequential.
No, it's very consequential.
Yeah.
It's very consequential.
That's very mild. Let's put it like that. It's I just fall asleep. Well, not fall asleep, but I just doze off all the time, and it's very difficult for me to pay attention to it. So, I mean, I could watch that, but I have more interesting ways to spend the last 20 minutes of my day, so I don't do it. Maybe once I am in this like very weird mood, I'm like, oh, right now I want to watch something that doesn't. I'm very awake right now, but I don't want to watch anything that is gonna be burdening or straining my mind. So I'll put up something like that. So maybe then I'll watch something like that.
Or, maybe you've also just haven't had your fill. Because I remember, when I first got into anime, the first, 3 or 4 years, I think, I didn't have the patience either for, episodic shows. And it took a while to get back into it and to learn to appreciate them again. So maybe you just haven't had your fill of it yet either. That's also possible.
I've watched my fair share of cute girls doing cute things and slice of life shows back in the day. I think now that my life has a lot of responsibilities, and that I have to do things, and that my time is very limited, and that I have to choose what to do with my time most of the time. I feel like I have to spend my time in the best way possible, and I can't really spend time on things like slice of life cute girls doing cute things, because that's not the best way for me to spend time. Whereas previously I spent time on that because I had enough of it anyway, so I could spend some on that. So it's difficult. But that's the reason probably why. Yeah, that's probably the reason why.
But that's what I'm saying. Like my reasoning is that you haven't had your fill yet of of continuing shows to really learn to appreciate the charms of the more episodic things. Hence, they're just not worth it to you yet, and that's fine.
I mean,
or even if you never learn it, that's also fine. It's a shame because episodic shows have some really amazing things going for them that you can't find in continuing shows. But if it never happens, that's just you being you. There's nothing wrong with that per se.
Conversely, no, not conversely. That's the wrong word. It's very weird though that like Yashike, on the other hand, are very much my thing, even though they're structurally not that different from cute girls doing cute things or slice of life. It's very mild, it's very down to earth usually, but stuff like Girls Last Tour is one of my all-time favorite anime, and Yuru Camp I think I sped through in a few days because it's very cozy to watch. Though I guess, did I have... It's possible that I was on vacation at that time, so maybe that helped, but...
Speedy, do you realize the irony that you listed 2 cute girl shows there?
No, but they're Iyashike.
They're cute.
It's like a subgenre. It's a subgenre.
But they're cute girl shows. I honestly don't understand what the difference is between the Iyashike and just like a... Yeah,
not all cute girl shows are Yashike.
All
and vice
cute
versa. Not all Yashike are cute girl shows.
A cute girl show is very healing. Don't worry. I can assure you of that.
Wasn't there a show about where you felt betrayed because there was a cute girl doing awful things?
Like...
Yeah, a Happy Sugar Life.
Oh, that's not...
Yeah, that one.
I guess so. Though I'm sure some people would say that show is healing, but,
Does anything but heal. Yeah, no, the terminology here is a little weird because the where an Yashike ends and begins is very blurry. Like some people will say, for example, that uh, some show is Yashike, whereas other people say like, oh no, that doesn't didn't really do anything for me. So I think it's a bit of a personal
I mean,
thing.
I've heard
Also,
a lot of people refer to.
yes.
Yeah, continue.
No, I think.
I've heard a lot of.
Yeah.
Pory, who goes first?
Sheila can go. Why not? Ladies first.
I just wanted to say that I've heard a lot of people refer to Mushishi as an Iyashike, and I never quite got behind that because it definitely has an effect on me, just not a healing effect.
I mean, are there any shows that have a healing effect on you? Is that possible?
Kid shows. Kid shows?
Kid shows.
They are quite healing.
So that's
I
all
don't know,
kid shows are Yashike.
Not really.
I mean, honestly, that's...
Not really, to be honest. Like, I don't think in the way that, like, Iyashike are supposed to be healing. I haven't found any yet that have that same effect on me. I would say the closest contender would be, fun, uplifting shows like Slime Isekai.
Right.
The kind of the feel-good shows would probably be the biggest contender there. But even then, I'm not entirely certain if, that feeling of bubbly happiness is, watching these shows is what I'm supposed to feel when watching an Iyashike or not.
I think like an Iyashike cannot be an Iyashike if it's not good. Like an Iyashike has to be compelling and has to meet a certain quota. It has to have the desired effect. If it tries and it fails, it's automatically not an Iyashike anymore. Because
I mean, Mushishi is said to be one of the best Iyashike out there, so...
I mean, you're not normal. You're not normal, so whatever effect something has on you, it should not be taken as the standard.
That's...
Yes.
I cannot argue with that.
Yeah. Sheila is not normal. I, by the way, am not either. But...
you're more normal than I am.
True. Who's the most normal? Is Pory more normal than me?
I think you'd be the most normal here, because Pory, like, you cannot trust anything that comes out of Pory's mouth because he doesn't understand taste.
You're hammering so much on that. Poor Pory.
It's true.
Poor Pory. Oh, it's in his name.
That was really... Yeah, wow. Wow, that's really...
One
That
more
was
O.
awful, Speedy.
I realized, like, that's stupid.
That was just, like, straight up bad.
Do we have more things to say about kid shows? Are there any thoughts left unsaid?
I mean, I could talk about kid shows forever. I love kid shows. Kid shows are great. I love them so much. Everybody should love them. Speedy, why don't you love kid shows? We cannot be friends anymore.
Okay.
Well, friendship ended, I guess. Unlucky.
Pory, outside of...
Wow.
Outside of Pretty Cure, what other kid shows do you like?
Anime ones or just...
Tell us why you like Pokemon Journey so much.
Because...
I want to hear about it.
It has... Okay, well, first of all, I am the product of the genius marketing campaign that is the Pokemon franchise. So, But it
as evidenced by Pokemon Gotcha.
Literally everything coming out of Nintendo has always been ridiculously well marketed. Let's be fair here.
But the reason that Journeys is so good is that it has... Adding Go to the series basically made the show, like... I don't want to say perfect, but it made the show, like, always good to watch. And, like, the amount of, like... And the show knows... I think the show figured out that people who are watching it now have kids of their own when they watched it when they were young. And so the amount of pandering that they can do is, like, insane. So, like, yeah. So, for example, there is a shiny hunter in the new show. I am a shiny hunter myself. So when that guy showed up, I was like, this is the fucking greatest moment of my life. Like
I can relate.
Like, you know, so that's like one. They know that their audience is obsessed with Pokemon, so they they play with that. The other,
They lean into that.
the second part is like Go. So you have this really good contrast between Go and Ash, because Ash is, wants to be the very best, like no one ever was.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's like, he gets into the super high energy like moments. Well, Go does too, but it's mostly Ash, and that gets your fill for your fights in. He's also got that, like pretty. What did you say? Crouching moron, tiger.
Oh, crouching more on hidden badass.
Yeah.
Crouching more on hidden badass.
Yeah. He's got
completely fucking up the term.
he's kind of got that thing going on where, he's always stupid, but then he gets into the game and he's like, he's in his element, which is really, really fun to watch. And then he's like the smart, methodical, like rational character. And then you see.
Oh, so Go is a guy. I was wondering
there
if
is a
that was a
girl,
guy or a
but-
girl.
Yeah.
It's not Go.
It's not Go. And then there's this nice dynamic where like he gets a little bit more like as he comes out of his shell a little bit, and there's this nice dynamic where Go is getting like he's like picking up some of Ash's personality traits as he opens up, because he's always been like, oh, I only care about Pokemon, I don't care about people, and so Ash was like, he started to wear off and he became more like sociable and extroverted, and that was really nice to watch. And then Go is like the catch 'em all one, so we get to see like all the Pokemon, like way more than you would like in like any other season, and then we get to see them used in really interesting ways. So like because Go has like every Pokemon, so he can if a situation requires a Pokemon that's adept at swimming, you can have a thing that can swim, etc., etc. So it just makes the amount of Pokemon is just like at maximum, basically.
Is this a continuing series?
What do you mean? I mean, it's
Pokemon
the main.
Journeys?
Is it
Pokemon.
episodical?
Oh, it's the main series.
Yeah.
I'm not up to date with Pokemon. I've never watched much of Pokemon.
Yeah, I actually
used to.
didn't used to watch the main Pokemon series because mostly because I watched it in English and I started getting annoyed. But
I was
Diamond and
my
Pearl was
parents
pretty good
didn't-
though, in English too.
yeah, but I was like 8 years old when that came out, so obviously I watched it.
Oh.
Yeah, you gotta remember I'm like 5 years old, so I don't.
Yeah, I think I was already in my teens when Diamond and Pearl came out.
I think I used to, because I couldn't watch it back at home because of my mother. But I think I had a period where I was interested in it, but I couldn't watch it. So what I did was I went on the internet and I read synopses of the episodes.
That sounds-
And I think
So shit. I couldn't imagine a less.
It does sound very shit.
I couldn't imagine a less enjoyable thing to do.
I think I read at least like 100 episodes worth
Yeah,
of synopses.
Yeah, that sounds incredibly unfun.
That does sound absolutely shit.
Yeah,
But yeah, Digimon,
apparently
like,
that was fun
just
back
in
then,
terms
but-
of... not anymore, huh?
no.
Yeah, in terms of, the big, Digimon versus Pokemon debate, as far as kid shows go, Digimon to me was always the superior one, just because, I mean, to be fair, Diamond and Pearl does have this really, really amazing arc, about abuse.
True.
That touches on abuse, and I love that to death. Basically speaking, what happens, Speedy, is there is this rivaling trainer called Paul who has very different ideologies from Ash, and he basically catches Pokemon that are already strong and then, trains them really hard, like bordering on abuse to, become better. And one of his Pokemon did Chimchar, a little, one of the starters of the fire Pokemon, monkey, doesn't quite handle it, and Paul, instead of letting up and trying to see how to work with it, just gets rougher and rougher and rougher until eventually Chimchar breaks down and Ash just lets it go, and Paul just lets it go. Ash picks it up and slowly but surely shows it some love and compassion gets it out of his shell, and the more compassionate friends approach way that Ash has is exactly what Chimchar needs for it to come out of his shell. And it's a very beautiful, very touching arc that I absolutely adore. But aside from that, Digimon always had, much better themes and handle their characters in, much better ways. And that's one of the reasons I love it, especially Tamers. Tamers is great.
I think I've seen clips on YouTube on the Chimchar thing. Doesn't he fight the pole again?
I'm pretty if I'm remembering correctly.
Yep.
Ash beats the Chimchar, and then Paul lets it go, and then Ash picks it up, and then he gives him a taste of his own medicine. He trains the
at the end of the show, Chimchar has become strong enough for to beat Paul. Which like Pory said, comeuppance.
Poetry in motion.
But yeah, the entire Chimchar arc was so touching, especially that one moment when the first time Ash actually trains with Chimchar and Chimchar messes up, and Ash comes to Ash goes just walks to it, right, and Chimchar flinches and hides because he's so scared of being hurt and being yelled at and being beaten, and instead Ash picks it up and pets it and says, hey, it's okay, we'll just do better next time, right? And Chimchar is so unused to that, he just starts bawling, and my heart was breaking.
Aww.
Poor baby.
Yeah,
I just wanted to hug it at that moment.
There are always scenes that I
so
sometimes
touching.
come back to. I think I've seen that one more than once.
I'm always like, that's one of the things is that I'm a real sucker for is abuse stories and healing from abuse stories, and kids media does that pretty good.
I've noticed that's your shtick, your sweet spot in stories.
Yeah, that and love stories. But yeah, kids media does that really, really well in general. Like almost every kid show that I like, and there are a lot of them, has at least one character in there that's all about, healing from abuse. I don't know why that's so prevalent in kids' stories.
I would imagine it's because that is probably one of the biggest issues that children can face. And if you're somebody who's devoted to making children's media, you probably care about children in general. And then if you want to,
I think it has more to do with the fact that anybody who would go into any art whatsoever is kind of fucked up. And abuse probably has something to do with the reason why they're so fucked up. So it hits home to them too.
That's
I was gonna say it's like a noble cause that they're making, and you were like, nope. Oh wow. Well.
Everyone who goes into
we're just all messed up babies.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. How do you say this? This statement has been
for legal reasons, we don't endorse this statement. Yeah.
Like what they put under Trump's tweets.
Exactly. Sources have shown that this detail may be incorrect.
I mean, in all honesty, just about every artist, like any artist, musical artist, visual artist, animator, literature artist, anybody who takes it seriously and wants to go professional with it or is professional with it is really messed up in the head one way or another.
Anecdotal.
People keep asking why, so many really great shows, the people behind them are, basically, fucked up people, like the guy who did Rurouni Kenshin, or, the guy who did Act Age, and it's if you have what it takes to survive in that industry, you're probably fucked somewhere in the head.
Okay, but in that way, maybe everyone is fucked up in the head,
true,
and not everyone gets to show it through their the artists are going to bring their own personal experiences to the art that they make, but all else that is also fucked up doesn't get to do that because they do not make art that's on display. So maybe this is just a human thing.
That's also true.
I think this is more of this is because we are human, rather than it's because all artists are fucked up and everyone who isn't an artist is much more likely to not be fucked up.
I never said that. Second part. I never said that.
No,
all I said is
didn't.
that, if you're an artist, chances are something is wrong in your head.
Yeah, I think that's more of a human thing. If you're a human, chances are something is fucked up in your head. I think that's a better statement to make here.
I don't know. I find artists are a bit of a different breed, like an extra breed in that regard.
There are a lot of different professions with very special breeds. One thing I always like to say, and this isn't that directly an insult or anything, but a lot of truck drivers are a very special breed. And no one, you
know a lot of
know it. I work with a lot of them, yes. Because I work in a wholesaler, and used to be, and I'm still in contact with a lot of different kinds of truck drivers. They're often very jovial and nice people, but also kind of weird. At least where I work, in the industry that I work with, like flowers and stuff. But I think most of them do.
Maybe that's one of the reasons why one of my best friends in the UN was a truck driver.
Maybe. We'll never know. And on that note, though, I do think that we have come a little bit to the end. We've gone way past where we usually end, but that's fine.
Yeah, our verdict for today: go watch kid shows. They're great. Also, go watch She-Ra. It's great. Both of you. I'm talking to the two of you. I mean, Speedy, I know it's on your list, but like, Pory, go watch She-Ra. It's great. You'll love it. It's 4 seasons, I think.
he could.
Well,
be
then
watching,
just start off with one
he could be
season.
4 different anime
True,
in that time.
true.
It's not even an anime. It's a
well,
cartoon.
No, he could watch
Yeah, I could.
4 anime in that time.
Then watch just one season for the moment and go from there.
It's the same thing though, because then he has to watch another, and then another, and then another.
Only if he wants to.
Only if you want to, Pory. Or we could watch it together.
Or you could watch it together. Not with me though. I have my schedule is weird. I have a social life.
Then what's
I have an RL social life. I don't have time for internet social life.
What's the point if you don't stop it every 5 minutes to explain something, like you did with Azakin?
Okay, but Azakin was talking about animation, and that's kind of my forte, right?
Okay, but
so
I'm pretty sure that if we were to watch it with the 3 of us, you would also do similar things. I'm pretty sure.
I probably would, just because I love analyzing shows so much and just pointing everything out.
Yeah. But
I gotta be honest with myself here.
That's something the 3 of us are going to figure out. To the listeners, this is the end. Till next time.
For today.
Yeah, for the day. Bye-bye.
For the day. Bye.
Bye.